Good evening, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here with the sort of content creator and owner and all the proper titles of the greensunzenith.com, Dougal Warby, aka Dougs on Twitch. Welcome. I'm really glad to have you on stream here.
Hey Phil, thank you very much for having me. This is a dream come true.
So for people who haven't come across your content yet, will you just kind of give us the 1 minute version? Who are you? What are you looking to do on your website? That sort of thing.
Yeah, easy. So my name is Dougal, also known as Dougs on Twitch. I stream Legacy Maverick a lot, and also founded the site The Green Sun Zenith, which is a website dedicated to the Legacy Maverick archetype, and also branching out slowly towards other Green Suns decks like Green White Depths, and maybe even some Bug Zenith decks. Uh, the site was founded last year, and usually has some content coming out each month, at least a Maverick monthly, where I kind of wrap up the last month finished or best placing decks within sort of green white, punishing fire, Bant Maverick, green white, black Maverick. But yeah, stream usually 2 times a week on Legacy Maverick or sometimes Death and Taxes. And yeah, really enjoying it. Really enjoying being part of the Legacy community, which is what Magic is all about.
Oh yeah, and the legacy community is a hell of a community. Like
Yeah,
the
it's really nice.
caliber of content our sort of titans of the format are producing. It's absurd. Like we're
Yeah,
so lucky.
it's tough. You gotta keep your game up. You can't slack off. You need to make sure that the content is always going to be something that's obviously appreciated and up to the bar that others set, which is very high.
All right, so let's take a look at the deck list you sent me. And kind of already, for those of you who are kind of listening carefully, there's not just like one legacy Maverick deck list right now. There is actually a relatively huge variation in what Maverick looks like right now. So why don't you talk to me about this list in particular? I know we've already talked about it, but what were you thinking when you put this together?
Yeah, so this list is just a green white basic Maverick build, which is usually the most traditional type of build. It relies mainly on another reliquary to deal its damage. This build is running Mirren Crusader. I like Mirren Crusader in this build because it's quite good against the current Oko and Abrupt Decay meta. It's also a threat we can get out turn 2, which is really nice. Not many decks that run Mirren Crusader can do that. With Exalted, of course, it's even more powerful. With Jide, it's pretty broken. A few key changes to this list that you might typically not see in others is I've actually moved towards running a Rishton port in the deck over the 4th Wasteland. Wasteland, of course, is a great card. One we can find with Knight, one we can replay with Ramen Up Excavator. But with the amount of with the amount of decks in the format with basic lands, to be able to still have a piece of interaction with their mana is really nice. And port can be really nice because it's interaction on their mana base, but it's also allowing you to untap with that mana. Sometimes if you're using Wasteland too aggressively, it can come back to bite you because the deck does have quite a big curve. So having the port there is nice because you can, play something turn 1, port turn 2, and then turn 3 you can actually untap and play something out relatively powerful like a Knight, which is nice. Uh, this deck's also running Once Upon a Time, which is pretty good. The deck traditionally is run on Green Sun Zenith as its engine, and between Green Sun Zenith and another reliquary, you have some really powerful tutor effects. And Once Upon a Time is kind of similar. It's half a Green Suns, half a Knight, allowing you to fix some of your draws, find the card that you really want when you want it, and just kind of give you some more flexibility about how much of, uh, I guess, how you can use your deck as just a better resource than say Sylvan Library. So Once Upon a Time, I think has been a pretty great printing for Legacy Maverick. The green white version does have a little bit of an issue against decks that go wide. An unanswered Young Pyromancer, things like elves, goblins. Sometimes we don't really have a great sweeper, and a lot of the sweepers that we could run usually hit us pretty badly. So the deck definitely has to make sure that you can answer some of those threats before they get too big. And Blast Zone is actually one of the reasons why I really like Another Reliquary, and yeah, just having the ability to really tutor up anything from Wasteland to Blast Zone, of course, for dealing with multiple threats. or just getting drawing a card of Horizon Canopy, or just getting a fetch land and making Knight that little bit bigger.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time does some cool things to the deck. So I think I'm right on the numbers here. Maverick usually plays about 24 lands, but since these are kind of like pseudo lands, you get to drop a land once you have these into the deck to add to your initial opening hand consistency. And this
Yeah,
helps you find a lot of your bullets, so you don't necessarily need redundancy in what cards you're playing.
yeah, exactly. So looking at recent lists since Once Upon a Time has been printed, most of the cuts are Noble Hierarch #4, Thali #4, Mum #4, Green Suns #4. You can also cut a land. So some are just cutting the second planes from the list, which we're doing here. Just because Once Upon a Time usually finds those cards, and it also acts like a Green Sun. So yeah, what you said is very correct.
Sideboard looks pretty good to me. Deafening Silence is a card that I think is much better in Maverick than Death and Taxes. Been super impressed by that card in Maverick. And then we see a lot of the other sort of like green mainstay staples in Carpet of Flower and Collector Oof here. Um, Most of what I see in the sideboard here is pretty stock. Nissa Vital Force is something that I see floating in and out quite a bit. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, so Achilles 27 is definitely the sort of premier green white Maverick player, and usually plays Elspeth Knight Errant in the board as well. And this is really for the really grindy matchups, which seems great right now with the amount of loam and sort of bug decks running around. Um, Nissa, of course, has some pretty cool interactions with things like Gaia's Cradle, because you can make it a legendary creature. I know Julian has a pin post of him making Cradle a creature and then attacking with it equipped to Jide, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Nissa just even just the replacement effect of playing Nissa and then getting back something from the graveyard straight away is really nice. Just knowing that you're kind of 1-for-1ing yourself straight away, and your opponent, if they have to deal with it through something like Assassin's Trophy or Lightning Bolt it, you're at least getting your card back, which is nice.
Okay. And we had some questions about Fairy Macabre in chat. This is basically just a result of playing Once Upon a Time in the deck. So, like, I personally am a very, very anti Fairy Macabre person. I think that most of the time it doesn't do enough.
Mm.
But once you start putting Once Upon a Time in your deck, and you can use that as your first game action to help find that so that you can dig deeper for your graveyard hate in the matchups where that matter, it becomes a much, much better card than, say, in something like Death and Taxes, where you don't have that same manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that I'm a big fan of Leyline of the Void. I think turning off the resource of the graveyard for your opponent is huge, especially in a deck like Maverick, where if your opponent is digging deep for an answer for Leyline, by the time they find it, you've probably got a board presence that's going to also put on a reasonable clock and enough disruption that you need to win the game. Fairy Macabre is interesting because it really only snipes specific cards, like a Loam or a Grizzlebrand, hopefully. So Fairy Macabre is definitely something that players can recuperate from quite quickly. So the split of 2 Fairy Macabres and 1 Tormod's Crypt was really just wanting to also have a way to exile a whole graveyard, but also have ways to utilize the power of Once Upon a Time to find our graveyard hate, if we do need to go for it, early on to try to find some.
And note here that, like, outside of the fairy, we are straight green-white Maverick. We don't have access to Abrupt Decay, and we don't have access to Bojuka Bog, which is something that is relatively common in this shell.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a lot of the graveyard decks recently have slowed down. I'm not seeing too much Reanimator, a little bit of Dredge. Bojuka Bog's always been an interesting card for me because for it to be very good, you need to be on the play. You need a Mana Dork, a Knight on turn 2, and then turn 3 have access to Bog. That's really your only way of instant speed Bog. Otherwise, it's a sorcery speed land drop. Some decks do play crop rotation in the board, which I definitely don't mind because it does increase the effectiveness of Bog. And then also going for something like a Wasteland or a Caracas off crop rotation can be really good. So Bog's really nice with Knight, of course, but sometimes it's just a little bit too slow against the decks where you really want that sort of effect.
All right, that'll make sense to me. Do you have any final things you want to say before we hop into the league here?
Probably just about Path to Exile on the board and Carpet of Flowers. Path to Exile is really nice because some of the decks right now aren't running basics, but I have been trying to tinker around with finding other versions of a sideboard removal spell. I know Achilles has found some success with Sunlance. Some players play cards like Blessed Alliance, but of course, Sunlance isn't great against the Death and Taxes and Maverick decks that you want to maybe be, killing a mum. And Blessed Alliance can be a little bit rough with decks that go wide. Some of the blue-green Omni decks are playing Ice Fang Codal, so if you unfortunately have to make them sack the Ice Fang instead of the big creature, you're obviously not doing too well. And then with Carpet of Flowers was really interesting in this deck because we do have a few mana sinks. I was running Hex Drinker for a little bit, but because of the amount of bolts and swords in the current meta, it wasn't doing as much as I wanted. And usually if I had Mum out and was online, we're winning that game anyway. I was running Choke over Carpet, but of course with Astrolabe around, there's not too many ways. It's definitely gotten a little bit worse with the amount of times that
It's
I've
not
played it.
the resolve it and I win the game 70+% of the time card that it used to be.
Exactly. So you could say that Carpet is also in the same bracket because if people are playing as islands, then both of those are going to be less effective. But
yeah, but
I
Carpet
found
is
Carpet,
stupid.
it really is, especially against the Delver decks where I'm kind of happy to maybe take out 2 Hierarchs and bring in 2 Carpet of Flowers because they're a lot harder to remove. They're still making my mana, which is really nice. And yeah, I didn't know about the interaction with Leovold that Bryant brought up in a recent podcast about how Carpet actually targets your opponent.
That came up on one of my streams and I learned it live and it was a rough lesson.
Yeah, very rough. So for those of you who haven't heard about it, Carpet, of course, targets your opponent. So if for some reason you do use your Carpet in your second main phase, it still triggers in the first. So it triggers in your first main phase, targets your opponent, they draw a card off Leo. And then in your second main phase, when you want to use the mana, it still targets your opponent, of course. Your opponent draws another card, and then you can use it. So hopefully it doesn't come up.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm going to mute my Moto sounds and then we'll hop right into it.
Cool.
Fun fact for anyone who might be streaming with guests in the future, a lot of times your Magic Online noises are going to use the same like audio settings as your guest will. So you can end up with some awkward things if you don't mute the Moto sounds.
Interesting.
Legacy League, Once Upon a Time, Maverick, let's go. Let's
cool.
Drag this window over here. So I know it's morning for you, right?
Yeah, it's 9:55 a.m.
So did you happen to see the new land cycle that was spoiled?
Yeah, the Tri-lands with cycling for 3 that can also be fetched up.
Yeah, it's they are impressive.
Yeah, look, the artwork looks really nice as well.
100% agreed. Coming into play tapped is a pretty huge thing by legacy standards, but I 100% expect to see those as like one-ofs in some deck lists.
Yeah, I mean, it's having access to all 3 colors in a 3-color deck off 1 land is really nice, and the cycle effect's pretty good as well. Although 3 mana is a lot for cycling, I think it'll be interesting to see where players come up with ideas in how to actually play them in a deck.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty free to like throw one of those into a 4-color loam deck. Because like you're a Chalice Mox Diamond deck, so a lot of times you're not making a real turn 1 play. So turn 1 you can just go and get a Tri-land and just really smooth out some of your openers.
Yeah, that's very true. Samu 27. Being on the play is really nice.
This hand is snap mulligan in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much. The Cradle's kind of dead. Having the Dried Arbor in the opening hand is kind of rough.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is tough. Dried Arbor, of course, is a card that you want in the deck for Green Suns. If that was a different land, I'll be more
any other land in this
is
an insanely good hand.
Yeah. So the once at best case maybe finds a fetch land for like something like a Savannah. We could lead with the Dried Arbor. It obviously is open to both Wasteland and removal like Bolt or Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, so is our average 5 better than this super clunky 6? Like if we keep this, we're probably bottoming the Mirror Crusader.
Yeah.
So we go probably turn 1 Dryad Arbor, turn 2 Mom, can't Green Sun, Dryad Arbor's already dead.
I think there is a better 5.
All right.
Unfortunately for a fair deck like Maverick, but if we can find something like Sylvan Library to get us back in the game as well, that would be quite nice. This actually isn't too bad.
It's
So
not.
we can drop the Savannah and the Cradle, and then keep the 2 Mana Dorks and the Swords.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then we have some
I think it's
interaction.
just so greedy trying to keep the Cradle when we're already going to be keeping 4 mana in our hand.
Yeah, exactly. So at least we have a hand that can pretty much cast whatever we draw into.
Actually, do we want to keep Savannah Windswept Heath and get rid of Caracas in case we get Wastelanded? Because we're probably fetching Savannah off Windswept Heath anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say there's less decks right now that we care about having Caracas in our opening hand rather than just finding it later on with greens with another Reliquary.
Yeah. Any thought for which one of these to lead on?
That's interesting. So I'm not sure what my opponent is on. Birds is nice to have around if they're on Delver, but if they're on another deck, then having the Exalted is a little bit better. So then I think just going for Noble First is fine.
That was my inclination as well. But it's weird. Like, it's weird when we have no other information about, like, where our game plan is going. We're 100% reliant on the top of the deck for the decisions that we're making here.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely one of the downsides of not playing a deck with something like Ponder or Brainstorm. You're kind of forced into just playing what's on top. So if we draw into a Gadok against a fair deck, it's not the greatest. Oh, old school Rogue.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay. Cool.
So one interesting thing here is that we can hold a fetch land up for Dried Arbor if they want to attack with the Nibble Mongoose.
Cheeky attack in, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, playing birds here, and then we can attack or we can hold up Swords to Plowshares.
Well, we already technically have that held up, although there's weird days scenarios.
I definitely don't mind attacking.
Yeah. Oh, nope.
The double fetch is really nice because it makes sure that next turn if we draw into another Reliquary, it's going to be at least a 4/4, which means that Lightning Bolt isn't an out for my opponent. Wasteland. If they waste here, interesting.
Yeah. So now if they attack in, we have Sneaky Dryad Arbor that doesn't get Wastelanded. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think we go for it.
Yeah.
Like, if they stifle us, they stifle us, but then we still have 3 mana after they do it. Yeah. So, like, all in all, we're still quite happy with everything that has occurred in this turn cycle.
Yeah. Interesting to see this build. I haven't seen the old Stifle Nibble Mongoose build in a while. There's Knight, so that's pretty perfect.
It's super unfortunate that we're playing this into a Daze. But it feels correct to do so. What are your thoughts? Like, because we have no other cards, we have no guarantee that we're going to hit a land drop next turn or even the following turn.
Yeah, so I've always been a player that's pretty cautious. However, I think just jamming the Knight here is so good because if we draw into another Knight, then we have 2 in a hand and we haven't really done anything. So I don't mind even just fetching for a basic forest here, just to make sure that our land sticks around, and then just jamming Knight.
Yep, I accept.
Daisy's rough, especially since we've got Wastelanded off, but I just think if we draw into another 3-drop, then it doesn't feel great to hold that Knight.
Yeah, like, if we're going to be stuck on a set of limited resources for most of the game, then it kind of makes sense to just jam cards into it and force our way through.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we're going to have the luxury of playing through most soft permission. So like Daze on our 3-drops is not going to be live anymore. Spell Pierce on our Swords to Plowshares is not live as long as we play around it.
Yeah, exactly. I think because the Nimble Mongoose is such a small threat right now, we can be pretty patient with how we actually want to cast spells. Even though that goes against me wanting to jam the Knight, I think now we can kind of take a small sort of seat back and play it quite slow.
And I think this is part of the reason why Nimble Mongoose has fallen out of favor. Like, just imagine if, like, this was a Dreadhorde Arcanist in play. Like, it'd be terrifying, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like holding the Savannah here, especially if we're drawing one card at a time. We might just want it next turn to do something like Green Suns for 3 and play around Daze. An actual bolt and an actual bird. Interesting.
Yep. Do we play it now?
I guess if we're drawing into a land next turn, it makes sense to play it because we just want to keep our lands going. But if we don't, I kind of want to keep it just to play around Wasteland and another Daze or something like that.
Makes sense to me. I think it's kind of a wash in the end.
I wonder if this version is playing Dreadhorde.
Like, it actively works against the Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be super awkward side by side. Like, if I would expect 12 to 14 threats, probably something along the order of 4 Delver Mongoose Tarmogoyf, followed by maybe like 2-ish True Names to round out the threat base or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So this is super awkward now that we have had yet another mana creature removed because this is going to put our 3-drops back into Daze territory. That's okay though. Like, we're coming from a mold of 5. So no worries. Another bolt here would be, oh god.
Okay.
I believe we are dead. Not technically, but it will be very hard to crawl out from this situation.
Yeah, the tempo has just been huge from our opponent.
And Ari Fuller, thank you very much for following. I hope you are enjoying the content. And now we're in jam everything at all times moment. We just have to get something to stick on the board. This is unfortunately not great. It doesn't actually beat out the Nimble Mongoose in combat. It allows us to make future land drops, but
it does, yeah, if it does resolve, it gives us Dried Arbor for infinite blocks. But yeah, I probably don't see this sticking. Looks like a hard cast Daze.
Yep. So now we're probably one more piece of interaction from just being dead at some point in this game. Like, we go to 6 here. If my opponent gets in one more hit, that means any lightning bolt or anything that can get a lightning bolt back just kills us. This is not ideal. Please don't play more cards. I can't beat anything else. Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, just hard cast. Okay, interesting. They've won
everything. Everything.
That is just magic sometimes. It's tough because even if we block here on the Nimble, we go to 3 off Brazen Borrower, and then they still have 2 lethal threats.
Yeah, we have no outs to that, right?
I don't believe so. Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze is the only one.
Yeah, Scavenging Ooze plus the 1 land that we have puts us to 4.
Yeah, which then also blocks the mongoose.
Yeah, okay, so we died a Brazen Borrower in the air there.
So boarding's pretty interesting. I think the cards that go out straight away are Gadok Tig and Quisali. They might have Sylvan Library, but I don't think that's a reason to keep Quisali in.
Oh yeah, absolutely do not want that card in my deck. The Sylvan Library is probably going to get boarded out. I don't know how many things you have to board in.
Yeah, I do like the carpet, and I have been taking out in the past 2 nobles for 2 carpets, just because they do sort of the same thing, and the carpets, of course, are a lot harder to deal with. I definitely like the Path to Exiles because Rug is usually a deck that doesn't run any sort of basics.
Yeah, the downside is that like it's not going to hit everything here.
Yeah, if they're on the Nimble Mongoose plan, I don't mind Tormont's Crypt.
So like,
I'm assuming they're also running Tarmogoyf.
I presume, yeah. So like, I definitely like these. I think Tormont's Crypt is awkward against Tarmogoyf though, because like the Tormont's Crypt goes to your graveyard and like grows the Tarmogoyf by 1 that is not normally going to be grown by in this matchup.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Then maybe it's just making sure our creatures are big enough to actually just block Nimble Mongoose as a 3/3, which I think in this deck is more than fine with things like Knight, Mirror Crusader, and Questing Beast.
Straight up, what do you think about Gideon?
Gideon's pretty nice, especially if they're playing cards like Blazing Volley or is it Staticaster?
And it's just infinite jump blockers for a large, dumb green creature.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of nice. So I don't mind that split. I think everything else kind of has its place in the deck.
So we're looking at a 5/4/5 here.
Yeah.
What do we think about Noble Hierarch versus Birds? Like the Birds can jump block a Delver in a pinch.
Yeah,
but
Birds
the
is kind of
Hierarch's
nice.
Exalted is relevant.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. I do like having the extra flyer because otherwise we only have Scrib Ranger.
All right, that's fine. A lot of times we're going to hit in very large chunks anyway when we actually get around to attacking.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully have a nice 7 here.
Yeah.
Carpet in the opening would be pretty nice.
And we might need to make some sideboard adjustments for when we're off. Okay, so like you asked for carpet in the opener, but you forgot to ask for a green source. So
yeah,
really that one's on you.
Apologies.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is an awkward one. To be fair, if they ponder first, then I'm okay. But I mean, if you're looking at this hand, you're looking at dropping the Cradle, and then your first card is going to be, Jide, but pretty rough.
Wow. And like we also only have 1 colored mana.
Yeah.
I think this one is borderline. But I think it is a mulligan. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a mulligan as well, unfortunately. I think we really want to be doing something on turn 1 or turn 2 other than just relying on the top of the deck.
Like, we're looking at, in an ideal world, we get turn 4 Jisei counters, and, like, what have we done in the meantime?
Yeah,
like, literally nothing to disrupt our opponent, and if we use these wastelands, then, like, I have nothing else to back it up. I'm gonna shift that. Fuck! Ah! Worst carpet ever!
Okay, so we do at least have Plains with Swords, turn 2 Wasteland. I assume we'll be dropping the Gideon and the Jide.
I think we probably have to keep this one just due to like raw number of cards.
Yeah.
And
which is tough. We haven't even seen it once.
Yeah.
Which is what these hands are exactly for.
But don't we also only have 1 Plains too? Yeah.
Yeah, we only have 1 Plains.
All right. So I think this card is going.
Yeah.
And then I think the Gideon is going as well.
Yeah, I think it's the Gideon. Knight at least, if we draw into a fetch land, can come down as a 3/3. If we draw into 2, comes down as a 4/4. But yeah, obviously some tough hands to deal with, especially against a Rug deck that has gone down to 6 as well, which is relevant.
Okay. Cool. We're not taking early pressure here, which means that we get to play this Swords to Plowshares or maybe Carpet of Flower around days, which is cool.
Yeah. I don't mind Blast Zone here, just to... Wasteland isn't doing too much because I'm a little bit skeptical of Stifle. I'm not sure if they kept it in the deck,
Sure.
but I think just not showing the Wasteland yet is more than fine.
I buy that.
And Blast Zone's like a land that I don't really mind losing, although it's a nice answer to things like Nibble Mongoose or Delver.
If we suspect they're not playing Dreadhorde Arcanist, then we're not super afraid of their 2-drop plays anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck you, Carpet. I sang your praises for half a podcast episode, and you do this to me.
Who knew this was a green-white mana base?
But let me just say, this would have been a great Carpet. Like, if any of our lands thus far were green, the Carpet probably ends up being a must counter card. It lets us play our Knight around Disruption. It lets us start cranking mana into Blast Zone and Wasteland to play around various things that our opponent can have. Like, the Carpets would still be good.
Yep, exactly. I'm kind of thinking they kept a Ponder. Okay, interesting. It was kind of looking though they kept a hand that was something like get to 3 lands and just play a true name and try to win that way.
Yep.
Nibble's okay. So if we draw into a green land here, port.
That's actually not the worst.
We do get to deal with the Nimble Mongoose, which is nice. Outside of Stifle.
I don't even know that we deal with the Nimble Mongoose yet. So, like, we can just port down their Volcanic Island, go to second main phase, and, like, actually wasteland the Tropical Island if we want. And, like, play around Stifle that way.
Yeah, that's very true. Is that better than just porting down their Trop in their upkeep?
Yeah, maybe not.
I guess if our best draw is a green source, having 5 lands around means we play around double days, which I don't really think is something we have to play around. The one reason I like keeping Wasteland is that we might get to a situation where we have to play Knight, hold up Wasteland. If they try to bolt it, we Wasteland one of our own lands.
Yeah, we haven't had any fetches yet. That's a good point.
To make it a 4/4, which it's never great, of course, Wastelanding yourself, but if you're going to save it from a Lightning Bolt and actually make it bigger than the Nimble Mongoose, then I'm not too unhappy there.
We are definitely starting out this league on hard mode, though.
Yeah. But I've definitely always loved the Rug matchup.
Oh, yeah, I do too. We are playing We are not playing normal games of this matchup, though. Like, they normally don't look like this. There's normally so much more back and forth, and, like, there's Thalias, and deciding whether or not to remove the Thalias, and, like, really cool Wasteland battles.
Another one is fine. I think this is kind of where Terramander fell as well, just being a little bit too slow for as a Delver threat in the early game. As cool as it looked when it was spoiled.
All right.
Okay, well, that's the card.
That is a magic card.
Do we want to play around Spell Snare?
I don't think we have the luxury of doing that.
No, because then if we're not playing around Spell Snare, we're playing around Days. So if we're playing around Spell Snare, we're not playing around Days.
Yeah, so I feel like we need to play this around Days and then keep them off of another, like, Tarmogoyf or True Name Nemesis.
I guess the only way to play around Days and Spell Pierce is to Wasteland the Trop, and then if they float mana, we can go to the second main and cast the Thalia with Days mana up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like our own lands in play are relatively important right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Never didn't have it. Just hard cast Brazen Borrower, get us dead. Yeah, this is scary, assuming they can back it up with Force of Will.
At least this carpet. There we go. Okay.
All right, that's very good. So I feel like we Swords the Plowshares, the Brazen Bar were first to bait out the Force of Will.
Yeah, I like that without playing out anything.
Yeah. And our patience on not Wastelanding is now rewarded by giving us a whole bunch of mana. Like we're getting 3 mana off the carpets. Okay, cool. All right, there's the days. So like they would have had us either way if we had chosen to play around it.
Savannah into carpet.
So carpet only adds mana of 1 color, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're actually playing carpet into carpet this turn.
Yeah.
We could also get kind of spicy and destroy one of our carpets and kill their Nimble Mongoose. Right?
Interesting.
So like we get 3 mana. We save 1 green. We blast zone away the Nimble Mongoose and our carpet.
Yeah. It also means if we draw into a fetch land or our wasteland turns 9 to a 4/4, which is nice the following turn.
That's not a line I've taken before. Do you think that's correct to do?
Yeah, I think just because it's also the Nimble Mongoose is 1 card away from being a 3/3.
Man, this is weird.
Pretty nice.
All
We
right.
can also hold up the wasteland.
Yeah. All right.
If
so...
we use
No. Why did that auto pay?
all good.
That makes no sense. I have other available mana.
That is fine. We can recoup. We can still port their trop, which is nice.
That's super frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like I could have a highlight reel of MTGO things that just don't happen in Paper Magic.
I also just don't think that's supposed to happen on MTGO. But that's neither here nor there.
So I guess if we play Caracas, we can then play Carpet of Flowers, and then second main phase we can use Carpet to make green, and then play Knight. So I just like tapping the Caracas and the Plains, and then using green mana, and then we can hold up Portal Wasteland. Actually, yeah, sorry, yeah, we can just use Caracas and then hold up Port with the Plains, and then also hold up Wasteland in case we need to make the Knight bigger than a 3/3. Force.
All right. We were never winning this game. That's where we're at. We're going to take 1 billion damage in the air here. We need some sick top decks.
I think at this point I'm pretty happy wastelanding the trop and then porting one of the Volk, sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to wait to see what happens with this Delver trigger here.
No flip, okay.
It reduces the amount of mana that we get from Carpet of Flowers, but I think that's moot at this point. Like, we already have 6 mana showing, and even if that goes down to 5, that's still most of our best targets.
Yeah, exactly. Dryad.
Thank you. Thank you, Dryad Arbor, for your service.
Yeah, so at least if Delver of Secrets does not flip, then they have to deal with the Dryad Arbor.
We haven't put a creature in play for them to bolt yet, though, right? So.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right, so we let this resolve, so they can't brainstorm in response to us porting. All right, Lightning Bolt, that answers the Dryad Arbor if they even want to, which they probably don't. Because, like, this puts us to 5, and then Lightning Bolt plus one of the 2 attackers is lethal next turn.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Green Sun for Scavenging Ooze is pretty sick. That is a thing that has occurred. Yes, we'll take some green.
Nice.
We'll take a redraw off of this. We probably need to leave maximum amounts of green open.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
I
tap
like that.
planes to do that.
Hmm.
We're dead to board.
We are dead to board, unfortunately. But hey, really good to get those draws out of the way in the first game.
Yep.
Obviously, not the greatest start to an exhibition match of Maverick, but yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, those are just the draws you can get. And Maverick, of course, is a deck that kind of has to play with the hand you're dealt. You don't have the ability to ponder or brainstorm into a kind of better hand for each matchup you face. But I think Green Suns and Knight does give you access to some way to fight against decks that you're not ready against in your opening. But obviously, they're the 2 hits to 5 was pretty rough.
So Fine and Andy has gifted you a sub to my channel, so now you can
What a
enjoy some
legend!
sweet Thalia emotes on your channel as well.
Thank you very much. That is very cool, Andy. I do like the fill emote. I really enjoy that.
Julian had an artist commission those pixel arts for the Legacy Premier League, and I used mine as an emote. I'm super happy with it. It looks pretty sharp.
Very cool. Amazing. All of those were amazing. Especially the I think the Thespian stage was cool, but the Rishon Port one was probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I loved that one.
I'd love to see the process behind it as well. It'd be kind of cool.
I assume it's probably more complicated than I think it is.
Yeah. But traditionally, Rogue a really fun matchup for Maverick. I think it's one of those ones that go back the ages of kind of being at least one of the biggest sort of matchups that kind of defines Legacy. There's a really good matchup between Thomas Herzog and someone else on Rogue. That is, a fantastic match. It's on a SCG, I believe. It's the top 4 for an SCG Open.
So, back in the day when Legacy Opens used to be on Sundays and Maverick was good, we could expect a couple of really sweet Maverick matches almost every week. And like,
yeah,
it was great.
the mirror's always interesting. It comes down to a few different cards. Mother of Runes is obviously quite good, but if you're playing the Black Splash, then Plague Engineer is just pretty absurd.
Yeah. I feel like the Death and Taxes and like Maverick mirrors and pseudo mirrors of that nature end up being really weird chess games a lot of times that drag on for literally 20 plus turns in many cases.
Yeah, love them. I think it's pretty hard not to play a tournament where on the play, which is nice, you nearly go to time in game 3.
All right. What is going on tonight? I have a guest on, and the Moto Shoveler just won't behave.
Okay.
This is a keep. We have to figure out how we're sequencing it, but it's definitely a keep.
Yeah, I think we're dropping the Questing Beast.
I agree with that.
And I'm not sure if we can go. I think we can go. I want to go for. I want to go for Savannah. I really do.
I also want to go for Savannah. It's definitely greedy, but like we're gonna take a beating from a wasteland one way or another this game. So I think I like getting Savannah. Are we hierarching on one?
So if we go Verdant, Savannah, Hierarch, we can then untap. We have 2 mana. We can then use 1 to Green Suns for Dried Arbor, which then Cradle and Noble Hierarch gives us the mana for Knight, which is pretty cool.
All right, I'm in.
One interesting thing with Maverick as well is knowing when to play Noble or Mum first. Because obviously there's some matchups where you just want Mum online ASAP, but when you have a Knight and you have a turn 3 play that you can play out on turn 2, it just feels so much better if you go for the early mana.
Kinda MTG, thank you very much for your continued support. I hope you're enjoying the league. Hopefully this round ends up being a bit more interactive.
One nice thing about this hand as well is that Green Suns allows us... Oof.
This is going to be bad.
Bolt. Okay.
All right, I'm very happy with that as a draw.
Yeah. I don't mind going for Dried Arbor and Mum.
I think I want to play the Green Sun first. I think I value that card more highly, so I want to play it around the days.
Yeah, okay. And if they're dazing here, I think I'm more than happy with that because they're going down on a mana, and of course we're already up to 3, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and we have a crap ton of mana every turn from here on out, assuming that like some of this stuff makes it around. Bolt would be the most awkward timeline. Don't do it. Don't do it because I said it. I will be so sad.
I think it's gonna be a Ponder. It could be a Delver. Surely not.
Okay.
Okay, Preordain. Okay. That's fine. So we can still untap, play Cradle, play the Knight with the 2 Savannas and Cradle, and then attack with the Dryad Arbor. Wasteland's also interesting.
How greedy are we? That's the question. I don't think we're this greedy. I don't think we're greedy enough to play Wasteland and then jam Knight into Daze. It's the highest upside play for sure.
Yeah, so we could play Wasteland and then play Knight, and then if they don't Daze and the Knight resolves, then we can Wasteland, which also makes the Knight a 4/4, which is kind of nice.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Nice. Ugh.
What's my favorite card in D&T? Flicker Wisp, maybe? Flicker Wisp does everything you need it to do.
The fourth there, exiling a True Name, is a little win for us, which is nice.
Yeah, True Name is super hard for this build to deal with. A lot of times you need to attack with multiple creatures or with Questing Beast to get those last couple of points of damage in. And if the True Name comes down early, life is rough.
Yeah, exactly. True Name's a really hard card to handle, but Questing Beast is usually pretty fun to play with because you do still get the players who block with Questing Beast.
That's not what we want to be drawing in this spot. Like, it's probably not a bad card for the matchup, but we really want a threat here. And I think
I wonder if it's worth holding the Cradle for now, because then it shows that we're definitely relying on this Dryad for more than just 1 mana.
Was about to say the same thing.
Oh, cool. Nice. And at least the Swords here still plays around Daze.
That was a longish pause. I think our opponent has a Brainstorm as one of their cards.
Okay. At least now we don't have to play around Spell Pierce, which is nice.
Yeah, and we'll want to Swords that on their turn, probably, to play around Force of Negation.
Yeah, nice. I like that as well.
It gets more interesting if they were to play a land in their second main phase, but they didn't, so...
Wow. I guess you're happy to I guess you're happy to force if you're
All right, GG, well played.
Yeah, pretty close. I think we can maybe take 1 hit and then
I think we're
out game 1.
We're dead unless our next top deck is relevant. Like, Lightning Bolt kills any small creature from here on out.
Young Pyromancer is pretty nice as well because now they just go so wide as well.
Yeah, so this bolts our Dryad Arbor.
Do you think this is just blue-red?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, a lot of times you don't see the Preordains in the 3-color lists because, like, that's kind of one of the slots that gets dedicated to things like Thoughtseize or, like, whatever other cards you're splashing for.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Oh, wow, our Dryad Arbor lives. I'm pleased about that.
Means it cradles on, which is nice.
It makes our Green Suns a much better draw than it would be otherwise.
Yeah, and I think Green Suns is most likely getting Scavenging Ooze. If you Green Suns for Screws with Cradle, you have 3 mana open, which means you can make the Screws a 4/4, but then also have a green open for
or
the
whatever they target. Yeah.
Just can't get a break. Can we, Phil?
All right. All right. So we'll probably board pretty similarly to before. We might make some slight changes. So we probably want carpet, carpet, path, path. Gideon is less appealing this time around. Tormod's Crypt is a bit more appealing. Do you Tormod's Crypt here?
I haven't in the past, but I could definitely see it.
So like we have these 3 cards, which are like fringe playable here, and like these are slam dunks. So we probably don't want Teague Pride Mage.
Yep.
Library is pretty rough against the Lightning Bolt deck.
Yeah, I think they're a bit too quick for us to make use of Library.
And
I was going to say either a Mirren or Tireless Tracker, just because they are some of our big threats that just can be bolted. I think probably Mirren's the weaker of the two, especially against Young Pyromancer.
So if we just board in our sort of like core good cards, it's this, and like then we have options.
Yeah, so my only thought is having the 4 Mana Dorks and also Carpet is great if we can power out early threats, but I'm not sure if it also means we might just be kind of saturated by early mana.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the things that we're boarding in aren't finishers, right? Like Gideon doesn't make a lot of sense against the Young Pyromancer go wide strategy or the True Names, and like we were shown True Name off Force of Will.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I don't mind our current build.
Yeah, and like I don't even know if Noble Hierarch and Mirren Crusader number 2 are probably similar cards. All right, this is a keepable opening hand.
Hey, there we go. Okay.
Once Upon a Time is probably still looking for a land, even though we have a decent number of mana sources.
Yeah. Probably
like a white fetch land would be pretty ideal.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think as well that there's any cards in the deck we don't want to shuffle from the bottom. So I think we're pretty happy going once and then shuffle. Caracas isn't the worst because we can go basic forest into Noble Hierarch.
I think we're supposed to take this assuming that our opponent will fetch basics this game.
Yeah. I'm on board with that.
And basic forest or Savannah?
I think basic if we get basic forest, either way we can still cast turn 2 Thalia, which is nice. But maybe we're in a position where we actually don't mind if our opponent wastelands us. I think we can get Savannah, lead with Noble, and then just try to stay ahead on mana.
I'm fine with that as well. Like, if our opponent is wastelanding us when they're on the draw, I think that's going to end up favoring us ultimately.
Yeah, especially if we follow up with a Thalia. Snow-Covered Mountain is quite aggressive because it means they can't daze this Thalia, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. I think we're playing Wasteland Thalia this turn.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of like hiding the Caracas.
Yeah, that was my reasoning as well. And, like, their next land is, like, 99% going to just be basic island anyway, since they fetch basic mountain this turn. They either, like, have an island in hand or another fetch land. Like, otherwise their line makes no sense to take basic mountain in this deck.
Yeah, exactly. The nice thing about this deck is that if they are going for basics early on, then Path just gets better every turn.
Yep.
I think he would just hold up once as well. We could also Green Suns for Dried Arbor to hold up Caracas, but I think just playing into their turn at instant speed is nice.
Yeah, I would much rather cast Once Upon a Time here at their end step, like drop the Shields on Thalia, see what happens, and then Green Sun for either X equals 2 or X equals 3, kind of depending on what happens.
Yeah, perfect.
Catfit was the perfect deck. It was just the Moto Shuffler that was the problem. Well, the Moto Shuffler is certainly the problem tonight. So yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty happy just to crack us here, of course.
That's
which is nice because then we can still hold up Once Upon a Time if they try to wasteland us. Hold up Path.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play the Once Upon a Time here to play around Spell Pierce. I want as much information as possible before I cast this card.
Yeah, cool.
Don't even know that they would have Spell Pierce in against us still.
Yeah, it's always an interesting
really
card
weird.
I believe we probably bring in more non-creature spells than they think, but I don't think it's that great, especially on the draw.
Yeah, for any of the subs who haven't gotten the memo yet about joining the Discord, please get on in there in the next couple of days. Once we have a little bit more of Ikoria, I want to be talking about like what our brew is. I don't know if you were around when we set that goal, but one of my most recent sub goal was that we were going to try and brew a new Legacy a deck. So
that's cool.
We've been doing some whispers in the darkness about what I want to be building around.
Whispers in the darkness. With your companions.
Yes. Alright, a young pyromancer holding up a blue mana.
That is fine.
Well, we might want to respond to that with Once Upon a Time, actually. Because if they do have something like Spell Snare or Spell Pierce, we don't want them to get the Elemental token.
Yeah, okay, that's actually a great line. Probably went up 8th.
I think this is easy, Mom, right?
Yeah, I guess Mum also gives us just level of protection that otherwise we wouldn't have. And against Young Pyromancer, it's quite nice.
Yeah, it also just makes it so, like, we have 4 mana on our turn, so we can potentially go, like, Mom, Path, Thalia, and do all of those things.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome.
And we're not, like, super concerned about this Wasteland.
Cool.
Things also get interesting if they, like, top with the Preordained. No, they top bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted to be really conservative, you could next turn play a land, Thalia first. If it resolves, you can then cast Path for 2, which can't be countered, but then you're not playing the Mum. So I think I still like your line of just Path. If it doesn't resolve, that's fine. We got Mum and then Thalia as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're just fetching another Savannah, right?
Yeah, I think because the Horizon Canopy in hand as well makes a lot of sense.
Like if we just fetch something like Plains there or Forest there, we can still potentially get Wastelanded off of colors at some point. So, like, yes, before someone asks, yes, it's kind of a number to like Path and then play a Thalia. Like, I understand that, but like every spell that they play other than the creatures gets taxed by this Thalia, so it's a decent amount of virtual card advantage. And you need to remove Young Pyromancer from the board. We've now put 2 relatively scary cards into play, and our opponent has to deal with them, and the Thalia helps to make this Green Sun resolve. And
yeah, next turn we can Green Suns for Night if we want, which will be a 4/4 at least.
I think this is probably the critical turn for our opponent that decides whether or not they win or lose this game. Because I think if like these things stick and it just comes to my turn and we cast this Green Sun, we're in fantastic shape. All right, do you have the second removal spell for Mom? No, but you're going to look for it.
Interesting. Let's see a shuffle. That's all I want here.
Do you think the Tri-Lands will be played in Legacy? Yes. Will they be played in large numbers? No, absolutely not. When you see them, they will probably be one-ofs. And they will probably be one-ofs in 4-color decks mostly. But they will definitely see some play. They're very powerful. Oh, they did find it.
Rough.
Is it though? Like, as long as they don't have days, I feel like we're in very good shape. So we have 1, 2, 3 in the graveyard. This could be the 4th in the graveyard. I feel like we're trying to get a night this turn and playing into days.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise we get a Scooze that we can't protect, and I don't know that that's good enough.
Yeah, so they've already used 3 bolts in a chain, so they probably have 1 bolt left, and maybe some sort of sideboard card like a braid if they brought that in. So maybe there's one other piece of interaction with Scooze.
Yep. Let's do it. No fear. Nice.
Nice. Haha. Virtual 5.
Okay. So
now the cards we have to be wary of are things like Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
I don't think Submerge is played that much. I think it's probably just Brazen Borrower that's the only card that can deal with this night.
Yeah, I think it's Brazen Borrower to bounce, which we should probably expect as about a 2 of, or True Name Nemesis to wall it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Delve is nice because we do have Blast Zone as an answer, which we can just actually fetch and cast and do straight away if needed, but also have the option of just waiting a turn and seeing if they play another Delve or another 1-mana spell. Another Green Suns is pretty nice. So you can do shenanigans with Scrib Ranger, but we can also just go for Questing Beast, which I think is pretty good. If our opponent didn't have anything last turn, they probably don't have anything this turn.
Just go for
if you want to play around.
Yeah, I'm fine with going for Questing Beast and just turning both of those cards sideways.
Yeah, I think the only card we can play around if we want to is Spell Pierce by Wastelanding first, and then using the 3 mana in play and Night to get the 4th, play the Horizon Academy as the 5th.
Yeah, then we don't get to attack with a Knight this turn. Like, what?
Yeah, that's true.
To what degree are we supposed to play scared if we don't think they have anything?
Yeah, I think then just playing the Canopy and tapping out for Green Suns is more than fine.
Like, I still think we're ahead if we trade this card for one of their cards.
Yeah, that's very true. And they kind of F6 last turn, so kind of hope for it this turn. Nice.
Tiny, tiny library. All right. Questing Beast.
Beast really nice in that 4/4, the 4 power and 4 toughness as well, because it can't be dealt with most of their usual cards. Magmatic Sinkhole is the card that I don't think we have to worry about anymore since the printing of Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Wow, no chump with the Elemental there? That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. That makes Questing Beast lethal with an Exalted trigger.
Yeah.
It also turns off things like Force of Will for them, a fetch land.
They must have some plan that I'm not seeing.
This is fine.
It means they think they're alive still. Which I guess they are with the chump block this turn. Why are we brainstorming now? That seems like a mistake to me. Like, you want to brainstorm pre-combat and, like, see if there's any worlds where you need to leave back Insectile Aberration. So, like,
Yeah.
Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so it could still be blocked by Delver and then, like, bolted or something like that. And you lost that line by
attacking with the Delver.
Post-combat brainstorm.
Yeah, that's very correct.
Can White get a wall of text card like Questing Beast? We'll share with Maverick. No. White already got a Planeswalker this set, so White got everything that it needed, right? Never mind that there was also, like, red and blue attached to that Planeswalker. Don't worry about it. Also, never mind that card wasn't really good.
Does this line make you think that they do have Magnetic Sinkhole? Oh, Chain Lightning, okay. Chain Lightning us, that's fine.
I don't know. Like, they're just playing to just straight up kill us. Yeah, so this is just Green Sun for Noble Hierarch, right? And kill them with
Yeah,
Questing Beast.
perfect.
The exact line that we talked about.
Classic. And even if they force this, they die to Questing Beast. So
Yep.
luckily, it's a nice little win here.
GG.
And we're on the board for game 3 at least.
All right. We can consider making some changes on the draw. Like we could consider something like playing Oblivion Ring as an anemic piece of removal when we're on the draw, and like boarding out the Mirren Crusader.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that. Especially because you just really want to make sure you have some sort of answer for a card like Young Pyromancer or Dreadhorde Arcanist. So increasing those chances with something like Oblivion Ring is nice because it's also something that they probably have a hard time dealing with outside of Brazen Burrower, but then you're just recasting it anyway.
Yeah, Brightling was sweet. That was like one of the best cards in Legacy for like exactly 2 weeks, and then it became unplayable, which was super unfortunate.
I think this hand is okay. We do rely heavily on this Carpet of Flowers or drawing into a white source.
Oh, I'm 100% keeping this hand. There's no way that I throw back a Carpet of Flower turn 1 hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely not.
Very cool. I mean, I'd be even more happy if they played Mountain. Hey, Jerry Freeman, thank you very much. Drop bears are an issue here, especially with the virus going around. They're kind of coming out of their habitat a little bit, which is pretty interesting. Less people in the streets, so drop bears are making their way into towns. So definitely look out if you're in Australia, or if you ever travel to Australia. Drop bears are pretty hazardous. Well, we could. I don't think we want a swords. I think because we have the Script Ranger for Delver, we want to keep the swords for something like Young Pyromancer or Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I F6'd and started typing things in the chat, forgetting that a carpet was going to trigger.
No, that's cool. All good. Oh, the Force Brainstorm. Interesting.
Oh, Azrael Chimera. So if you just recently subbed or resubbed, it would not surprise me that that information has not refreshed on the Discord side yet. So if you just want to like wait until tomorrow and then try to get connected that way, that will probably be easiest. And then if nothing works as of tomorrow, then let me know. Because I'm guessing that's what has happened here. All right, so we're using our mana here, and then the question is, like, what are we doing with it this turn?
Yeah, pretty interesting. I think we're definitely generating white no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm most inclined to just play the Thalia. Like, try to get the Thalia bolted, and then we play Scrib Ranger for Delver and wall it that way.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there's a line with Wastelanding the Misty to make them get an island for our second main phase carpet, but I think it works out the same way with having Wasteland as just a mana source.
Yeah.
I think that's way too aggressive, but...
And I think we play this, hold up the Wasteland, and then if they want to get a red source with this, it's very awkward.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, both because of the Carpet of Flowers and because of the Wasteland. But I guess this is getting an island no matter what. So I guess the actual decision is, like, would we Wasteland Volcanic Island if our opponent plays it here?
Brainstorm response.
This is definitely going to be a game where we just use our life total as a resource.
Yeah, 100%. And it's always interesting because there have been games where I've relied on Scrib Ranger to answer Delver and not used a sword early on, and then actually just lost to the Delver because they have an answer for Scrib. But if that's going to resolve, then I really like Wastelanding here.
I do too. It sets us both back mana. Like, it kind of sets me back 2 mana, but maybe prevents them from actually playing any spells.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we still have white off Carpet of Flowers, and like this isn't getting answered this game in all likelihood. Like, there are far better Brazen Borrower targets than this.
Oh, another Delver. Okay.
This is actually fine for us, I think.
Yeah. I think if they fetch on our turn as well, we probably want to Scrib in response so they can't force it or daze it. They probably just keep the Scalding Tarn around unless they have another 1-drop, which has to be a creature.
Okay, so we probably have to use Carpet of Flowers main phase 1 here. Otherwise, if we cast Scrib Ranger and it gets dazed, we don't get mana off the Carpet of Flowers.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think we're generating white off of this, playing Forest. And we kind of have to decide order of operations for like how we do our spells after that.
Yeah.
So our Thalia is slightly awkward for us this turn.
Hmm.
So I think we're playing towards Blast Zone away both Delvers at this point.
Yeah, and I think we can buy time with the Scrib Ranger. If our opponent had Bolt, they most likely would have cast it on Thalia to play around Caracas.
Yeah, I think we just main phase the Scrib Ranger.
Yeah. I like that.
It's like
And then
not
if it resolves, we also have a great attack with Thalia. At least to start getting some damage in.
it's not the most satisfying line, but I think it's what we're doing.
Nice. Next time we can actually Blast Zone as well, just off the carpet.
That's the plan.
Nice.
And it's going to be real good. And like our opponent is probably not playing Stifle and just straight blue-red. Alright, opponent has a Pierce.
Yeah, Blast Zone straight up is good as well. It does deal with our carpet, but it does 2 for 1 our opponent. I guess it's 2 for 2s because the Blast Zone and carpet trades for the Delver and Delver.
Yeah, but when we 2 for 2, when we have the Thalia in play and their spells are pretty awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it also builds the knight up, which is nice.
Yeah, like our knight is currently not safe, and we need to put either Blast Zone or Misty into the graveyard.
Hmm.
Protection from blue. We accept Lightning Bolt.
Hey, Cal. Welcome to the stream. Fetch.
Play a third Delver. Do it.
Wasteland. Dreadwood. Okay.
Alright, that's interesting. Not the most threatening. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very nice. So I think next time we just have the mana for Blast Zone. That's it.
We still Blast Zone here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so good. And then next turn we get a Savannah and Swords of Plowshares or Path to Exile, the Arcanist.
Yeah, perfect. Which we can hopefully save as well with Scrib Ranger from something like Wasteland. Very nice.
Carpet of Flowers. You've
I
redeemed
can't
yourself.
stand Delphi Secrets. To see that is very nice.
All right.
Probably attacking with Scrib in the air. Yeah, Kappa did a lot of work for us, but it sadly had to go. But 3 Delvers is pretty nice. Takes a lot off their clock. Okay. So at least they tap out here by casting a spell from the graveyard, paying for Thalia. So this Swords or Path is definitely going to go ahead. So I think Swords is just better to keep our opponent off as much mana as possible.
I think so as well. I was thinking about worlds where we bounce a land, double block the Arcanist, and then Swords of Plowshares the Young Pyromancer.
Yeah, that's also interesting.
I feel like it's too cute, and that like I need my lands in play to work towards Night eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I really like that Scrib Ranger also just saves Savannah from that opposing wasteland, because taking off white is something that could definitely happen. Oh, they have a land drop. Interesting. Nice. So Swords on the Dreadwood.
I think we are
nice.
doing this right now.
Yeah.
It plays into Force of Negation, which I could play around by going into my opponent's turn, but they've shown us Spell Pierce previously, so I think it is just correct to just get this out of the way.
I like that a lot. Nice.
Cool.
And now we have a pretty good board to hold this Young Pyromancer at bay. Scrib Range is a really cool card to play with. Obviously, this game it hasn't done quite as much as it could, but once you have cards like Mother of Runes, Noble Hierarch, Knight of the Reliquary in play, it's pretty absurd.
I mean, I'm streaming with Carpet of Flowers tomorrow. I'm playing Enchantress tomorrow with main deck Carpet of Flowers. So like I am so sold on Carpet as a card. We have just had some of the worst carpets I've ever seen.
Oh, we can save it here.
Yep. All right, choose target creature. I'll untap this and bounce this forest.
Very nice. I feel like this is the point where our opponent's just hovering over Scrib Ranger, just kind of reading it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I said at the beginning of the stream, right? Is just like make sure I don't miss Scrib Ranger stuff because like the card does so much.
Yeah, exactly. I played against humans and I got to ping down their phantasmal images with Scrib Ranger. Sorry, it was Merfolk, which is pretty funny because you can target their creatures, of course, to untap.
That's a cool one. I haven't done that with Scrib Ranger. I've done that with other assorted legacy creatures.
That's cool.
All right. If our opponent is just passing the turn here, we've probably reached the
yeah, that's a pretty huge
point of the game where we're highly, highly favored. I feel like we are waiting a turn to play this night.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind playing Savannah, playing Bird, and then just holding up Path.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
I don't think we're at a stage where we want to use the Wasteland on the Volk. I'd rather play around some sort of Daze effect, which I guess the Birds does as well quite nicely, especially with the Scrib Ranger.
So this Path to Exile is not currently castable since we played the Bird of Paradise. Like, we know our opponent has Spell Pierce. So just keeping that sort of thing in mind.
Yep. Unless our opponent taps out for, like, True Name and only holds up one land. Or, like, Hardcast a Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, I also don't know how many basics current iterations of Blue-Red Delver are playing. Petty Theft targeting Thalia. So we could Path to Exile the Young Pyromancer here safely.
I like that a lot because Scrib Ranger is going to be fine for this
Brazen Borrower.
once it comes down later on. And at least now we're taxing our opponent if they do want to counter it. And I don't think they can with only 1 mana. Maybe Daze they can float?
No, they have 1 card left. Their last card is Spell Pierce.
Okay, cool.
I'm just thinking about the super cute line of Path to Exile my own Thalia so they never get the other side of the Brazen Borrower, but we don't care about the other side of the Brazen Borrower, so like that's a bad line.
Very interesting though. I do like that. The only awkward thing about that is that the Young Pyromancer and 1/1s just line up really well against our creatures right now.
So next turn we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 6 mana, so we get to redeploy both of these next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine with board. Yeah. Okay. You've done your work. We still have 5 mana next turn for Thalia and Knight, assuming the bird lives. We need this for white.
Yeah, which is nice. So we can cast the Thalia first. If it resolves, then we can cast the Knight, which...
Well, I
There's
think
probably
regardless we're casting it because the Brazen Borrower threatens to kill us in just a couple of turns.
Yeah, that's very true.
Our opponent's last card is Spell Pierce, so our stuff's resolving. Ooh,
Yeah,
that changes things, though. So now I think we're playing Mom and Knight this turn, because Mom plus Bird holds off Brazen Borrower.
Yes. Yeah, I don't mind that. I was going to say it could get a little bit interesting if they just start attacking with their 1/1s, because then we might have to jump block, but with the Thalia out or Knight, it's actually more than fine. Chat's saying maybe the Spell Pierce was brainstormed away with that Dreadhorde Arcanist.
You might be right. Let's dismiss that.
Thank you,
But
Chat.
it's still, like, they've had 1 card in their hand for multiple turns. It still kind of feels like it is that Spell Pierce. Or no, sorry, it's the Brazen Borrower. No, that's here. That. Ignore me.
So is there any reason to wasteland our opponent?
I don't think so. Like, I guess cantrip into True Name Nemesis is a thing that can occur.
Yeah.
But
which I guess we can't really beat. The Blast Zone's already in the bin.
So, like, next turn we have Thalia, and then 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 mana. I think I'd rather have the ability to just cast a 3-drop and Thalia next turn than take my opponent off of 1 mana source, which may or may not matter.
Yeah, okay. We also have Cradle, which is nice, if needed.
So opponent is trying to put us dead to 1 Brazen Borrower attack.
Or Bolt.
Yeah, I guess we're Bolt. Do we have to play around that by blocking with Mom? That's super awkward.
Yeah, it's tough because next turn, if they have Bolt anyway, they can just Bolt the bird and then swing with Brazen Borrower. I don't think we can play around Bolt. Because if we double block here, take 3, go to 4. I think because they've only seen 1 Bolt, correct?
Yeah.
And they probably play Chain Lightning as well.
I think it sucks, but I think we do it. 4 is just so much safer than 3.
Yeah, it really is. Sadly, I think having the mum online is just a little bit too much of a luxury.
There's also worlds where we end up wastelanding ourselves and going real hard with the knight on aggro. Do we have Mazavith in this build?
We do not.
Ooh, spooky chain
That's
lightning.
chain.
The last card's second bolt. So we could have played around that by wastelanding the Valk, but then we just die on the next upkeep with no changes. So that's okay.
It's rough. But yeah, Delver can be a bit of an issue. Rough.
Was it correct to play Thalia over Mother if this was the case? I wasn't anticipating having to chump block the elementals there. I wasn't paying attention to my exact life total. I think, like, it's very possible if I realize that we end up having to chump block, then playing the Thalia is better because it doesn't lose a creature. But ultimately, if they have Bolt there, they're probably beating us.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. Bromeo.
All right, we have a reasonable opening hand.
Yeah, which is nice.
It's awkward. All right, so we're probably playing against Death and Taxes. Not 100%, but it's most likely. That's a blessed draw. Now we can try to find a basic land.
Windswept Heath, perfect.
Yep. So now we get to play basics early on in this game, which is very, very strong. Forgot to sub out my lands. I always do this when I import deck lists. Because Moto imports to their default art instead of what you normally play with because, you know, that kind of makes sense.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they're just getting Jitte, which is fine. We have a Swords to Plowshares to make that awkward later. We have some stellar draws in legendary creatures that aren't relevant to the matchup, but that's fine. We have Active Bomb.
Yeah, I still don't mind Thalia here.
I agree.
Gaddock takes off the Green Sun Zenith, which is kind of rough. But, you know, Thalia into Tracker or Thalia hold up swords and a Misty is pretty nice.
So I guess scariest line from our opponent is something like just Flicker Wisp the Stoneforge this turn, get Batterskull, have a flyer.
Yep.
But it doesn't look like that's happening. All right, your own Thalia, that's fine.
Interesting. Well, it's kind of nice because it means they don't have Batterskull in hand naturally. And to be fair with the double swords, we're probably happy with just attacking with Thalia here into theirs.
And just offering the trade, not intending to protect.
Yeah. And then we have Kusali as a nice answer to Jitte. We have swords for any flyers. Track is always an interesting one as well because next turn they can only equip Jitte to Thalia and attack, but we still have the mum. There's no way for them to actually get protection as well.
Yeah, I guess if we have double Swords to Plowshares, it kind of makes sense for us to try and get these Thalias out of play.
The only awkward thing that might come up is that they port us off, 3 mana when we have double Thalia in play, and then go to their turn when we don't have Swords to Plowshares up.
Sure.
So
right,
yeah, I think
let's start with the attack and see what happens there. Yes, Jerry, absolutely. Very happy to do some signing.
Why not Swords of Stoneforge? So I think we're in a position where we're happy to allow them to try to play an equip Jet Edge of Stoneforge and then use it. Because we're on green-white, we only have 4 removal spells in Swords to Plowshares, so keeping them for when we really need them is what is probably best. It kind of feels bad if he swords the Stoneforge and then just play another creature and attack with it, and we don't have a great removal for it.
So, am I supposed to just play Tireless Tracker this turn? They 100% cannot get Jitte counters on their turn.
Yeah, I guess the reason not to play Qasali is that it opens up a Swords to Plowshares line.
On it.
But Qasali allows us to also have a different way to answer Jitte if they don't allow us to have swords up because of the two Thalias and Port.
So what's your ultimate call here?
I like Misty and then just plains Forest into Qasali.
All right. I would jam the tracker here if I was playing this league on my own and just use my mana as efficiently as possible in fear of the Rishadan Port constricting my lines in the future.
Yeah, that's fair enough as well.
But I totally get this line. Yeah, so when I do guest streams, it's more intensive for me, so I spend less time paying attention to chat. So most of the time I check chat when things are kind of slow and my opponent is tanking on decisions rather than just kind of casually looking over every time I pass the turn. So if I miss questions, just kind of ask them again and tag me and I'll try to get back to them.
Could have got Exalted off the Thalia, but I don't think that really changes anything unless they don't block, which they didn't. So I guess we technically did miss out on a point of damage, but...
No, I think if the Thalia's trade, I slam that tracker onto the empty board. So I don't think we missed a point of damage.
Cool.
Recruiter's interesting. We'll see if they have something like Walking Ballista, which would be like very, very, very good. Oh, they're going to get their own Mother of Runes.
That's fine. And that's a great reason to keep swords around as well until you actually need it, because dealing with a mum straight away is really nice.
Okay, so we're at another turn cycle here where they can't get Jitte counters in any world.
Yeah, so I think it's maybe fetch, tracker, play the land.
Yeah, I agree. Are we taking Thalia attack first? Like, are we still attacking with Thalia this turn? Or I guess we could also attack with Pride Mage.
Yeah, I guess their blocks don't line up too well with Pride Mage. We can trade with both creatures if they block with both. They could triple block, I guess. I think attacking with Thalia is fine. It's only great if they can attack next turn with Jitte, but also have removal where you want the first strike. And yeah, chat's got a good point. We can actually... all good.
What now?
I was going to say use the canopy to play tracker and then hold up the fetch land, but it pretty much works out either way.
Well, I think the fetch land is just like 100% getting forest given board. And like if they wasteland the Horizon Canopy to take me off of destroying an artifact on their turn, I think it's fine. And like if they play Mom, they have to do so at sorcery speed, and so if they try to port me off white and wasteland me off white, I just remove the Mom in my upkeep instead.
Yeah, perfect. Also having the tracker down is nice because in later turns when they port us, we can just use the mana to maybe crack a clue if needed.
Okay, so this is the turn where they can potentially put in the Jitte and try to do stuff, but I don't know how much their stuff matters. Our Swords to Plowshares are super awkward right now in that they cost 3 mana. And we're potentially getting ported down end of turn anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting that they, I guess they might be trying to go for Wasteland on Canopy, port us down, and then maybe untap and try to get through with Jitte, but of course Mum just stops that. So I'm not sure why they didn't port. I think Noble here is pretty free from a forest.
Yeah, I think Noble's happening. I'm wondering if we're just cracking our clue this turn.
I guess downside to cracking clue is we just find. I guess what we really want off the clue is another land.
Yeah.
Just keep our land drops going.
No. Let's crack the clue. And I think I'm gonna give up a point of life in doing this to just leave myself slightly more flexible. No,
Yeah.
no. I'm not gonna think too much about this. I'm just gonna crack the clue. Otherwise, I'll be here all night.
All good.
There's a handful of fringe scenarios at work here, such as like drawing another single green thing.
Okay. I guess one. We still have Pride Mage. I was gonna say, this turn they could Swords the Mum and then put in something. Oh no, because Swords of course cost 3 with Thalia's. Probably just want to attack for 5 with the tracker, or 6, sorry, because the Exalted makes it pretty tough to block.
Yeah, and even Batterskull's not coming in to ambush it.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that could be playing towards a Source of Plowshares, the mom line, but if they lose that creature, I still have my own Thalia, and they don't have First Strike.
Exactly. First Strike is so relevant here. It is fine. Hey Jerry, thanks for the question. I might bring that up at the end of the stream. That's a really good one between the difference between Maverick and D&T.
Yeah, happy to talk about that later, but it's sort of one of those we need to talk about that for 5 minutes sort of questions.
Mirren is fine.
Yeah, that will get Source of Plowshare at some point. Preferably when
It's
they
really
go to
interesting
equip
how
it.
It looks like they haven't had a chance to redeploy this mum, which is really interesting. Because I think that's definitely part 1 of getting back into this game, or at least getting back into a position where you might be able to block or start turning the aggression a little bit.
So because Mirror Crusader's pro-green, I'd probably just pull the trigger on killing it right now.
Yeah. I guess we could also attack with the Thalia with Exalted and see if they block in any capacity.
That's true. But I think this thing's dying at some point this game. And I'm going to take my extra points of damage now or force one of these bodies off the board.
Yeah, I guess now we can attack with Thalia, Qasali, and Tireless Tracker. They could double block the Qasali, but we can just blow up the Jide in response.
Sure.
There's no other real good double blocks. If we lose the Thalia, I think that's more than fine as well.
And then we're... No, actually, I don't think I like that.
Okay.
Because, like, then there's Swords to Plowshares, one of my creature, like, Swords to Plowshares, the mom. Yeah, this isn't that much less damage. I'm just going to take this line.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The Noble's really nice as well, because it gives us answer to an option for instant speed, Swords to Plowshares, and Qasali Prime Mage. And to be fair, taking out a Recruiter is nice, because it stops, Flick Wisp from re-hitting it.
I'm just going to play a little bit scared when I feel like we're 95% to win this game.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't want to turn the corner too quickly.
Yeah, that's fair. If they have Caracas for Thalia, one nice block if they equip the Jide to the Stoneforge is blocking with Pride Mage, allowing damage to happen, killing the Stoneforge, and then with the trigger on the stack for Jide, blowing it up with Pride Mage. Recruiter.
Okay.
At least we can still once here, which is really nice.
A Flicker Wisp, you say? So are we oncing or are we just Swords to Plowsharing? I guess we once. It's just more mana efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even something like Cradle or Green Suns here is... Sorry, I guess we can't find Green Suns, but... Another Mum's pretty good, but something like an opposing Revoker after we lose this last Swords is a little bit annoying. We do have Qasali Pride Mage to answer it. I think Knight's just probably the best here.
So our turn is Swords to Plowshares, Mom, and we have 1, 2, 3 mana remaining. Is Knight actually better than Mom? Like, Mom lets us hold up mana?
Yeah. I mean, Mum's also nice because Knight we can just Green Suns for if we want it, so there's obviously more copies in the deck of it.
I feel like we already have our kill condition in play.
Hmm.
Is it multiple attacks this turn?
So if we attack with multiple creatures, they might chump block a little bit more aggressively, which makes the Flick Wisp a lot worse. I think if we just attack with the Tile Striker, they'd probably block with the Stoneforge and then keep the Recruiter around for Flick Wisp.
Okay. That's fine.
Which I still think is fine, yeah. They could also use their Lifetoil as a resource. They are at 18.
Oh.
Interesting. Okay.
So I need...
What if we draw a card first? Because if we draw into Cradle, then we get some pretty good shenanigans with Sylvan Library. And if we don't, we can still cast Mum off Noble Hierarch.
Sure.
Once. Okay. I think the big difference in this matchup compared to most,
Wow.
speaking of the devil, compared to most matchups like this is Death and Taxes is not starting on Vile. It's just so huge. Or Mum, to be fair.
Port away.
I don't mind using a clue here. Can still play Sylvan Library at worst. Chite. Okay.
Oh man, 3 mana. That's okay.
I guess we could try to once for Cradle.
That's so loose.
We're definitely in a very good position.
Yeah. I think we're just turning all of our creatures sideways.
Yeah, pretty much. At least, yeah, Thalia, Qasali, Tile Striker. Nice. No blocks. Could crack a clue if you want, but I think, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Just play this out. Hold up.
Yeah.
Crack a clue or activate Qasali Pride Mage as needed.
Nice. Next turn, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think next turn we're just giving pro white to Tracker with 1 Mum and then attacking for lethal. and then we have the other mum in case they try to do anything in response.
So I guess like the only thing we need to worry about is potentially Batterskull coming in, but we just have that covered as well.
Yeah, luckily, because if they tap out for Stoneforge Mystic, we can use the other mum to give pro black.
And like it's totally safe to just lower all of my mana here, even if the Swords of Plowshares on Kusali Pride Mage. We have 2 Mom layers, so we're
Good to
more
go.
than good.
Nice.
So the thing about the attack in with Tireless Tracker for lethal line. No, I guess we just blow up Batterskull with Kusali Pride Mage. We don't need to give Mom protection again. Because we gave...
Yeah, also if they tap out for Stoneforge, then they can't have anything else. So the other mum that's left over can just give pro black to the Germ, which still gets Tireless Tracker through for 9.
Well, no, actually, because we would give this pro white, so Mom couldn't give Tireless Tracker pro black.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's very true. So Kusali Pride Mage helps a lot because once
Yep.
it has Exalted, it doesn't matter, which is nice.
Okay, they just didn't have it. It's a very long game 1.
Yeah, very happy to get game 1 because I think board it becomes even just a little bit better, especially things like Collector Oof. We only have the 2 Jadays. So I think the main cuts are going to be the 3 Thalia and Gaddock.
Yeah, so this is probably a time where like it's better to start in this direction and figure out what we want to take out and fill the gaps accordingly.
Yeah.
So like we don't want Thalia. We don't want Gaddock. Every other card in our deck is reasonable.
Yeah.
So we like 100% want Oof and Night of Autumn. And how do you board from there? Probably O-Ring.
Paths are nice because we don't have too many answers to a turn 1 mum. As bad as it is to Path a turn 1 play against a deck with a lot of basics, I think Path is fine. Skoos is always an interesting one. I'm never sure how good Skoos is in this matchup. Most creatures are getting exiled, and if they bring in some amount of graveyard hate, then of course Skoos isn't as good.
I would be fine with like cutting Skoos for Gideon.
Like, yeah, I like that a lot.
Skoos is fine. It's definitely not exciting.
Yep. But yeah, I think for game 1 having the
Keep.
The swords is nice interaction. The Jedi in hand is nice because we don't have another way to find it. But the cradle makes this pretty much a 6.
Yeah.
And I think as a 6, I would keep this without cradle.
I do too.
We also have access just to basic straight up, so our mana is not something.
This is bad against an Ether Vial hand and great against a Mom hand.
Yeah, and another 3-drop isn't really what we want to be drawing into.
So like we're pretty dead to a Rishadan port with this hand.
Yeah, I guess one nice thing about the Knight is that getting Blast Zone deals with mums and Vial. Interesting, no mum. So if they don't play Wasteland, is the question to go and get Dried Arbor in our end step to then have Guy's Cradle on no matter what?
That's spooky. We haven't given our opponent any Swords to Plowshares targets yet.
Yeah, that's very true.
I am not willing to accept that degree of risk.
Okay.
All right. This is awkward. I don't like it.
Mm.
And I also think we have to play the Naked Guy as Cradle.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess, there's still some pretty poor lines of like Recruiter into Fourth Land into Palace Jailer.
Oh, we're dead to a lot of stuff here. Like Palace Jailer plus Flicker Wisp hold up, Recruiter plus Flicker Wisp. Even just like Mirror Crusader plus Stoneforge. Oh, Sword of Light and Shadow.
Interesting. Wow, untap. Okay.
Wow, alright. All of a sudden I feel like I'm not dead. And 30 seconds ago I felt like I was 100% dead.
So if we use Windswept Heath to get just another Savannah, we can play Qasali Pride Mage and then have 3 mana with Savannah and Cradle for Night. We could also hold up a mana for Qasali on Aether Vial if they tap it in their end step.
So we could just play Qasali, pass the turn with Source of Plowshares, and Qasali Pride Mage activate up off double Savannah.
Yeah, I like that. I think holding up Qasali is very nice right now, especially with that Vial.
So this insulates us both from the sword and just from Flicker Wisp chains.
Yeah, exactly, which is really nice. Sorry.
So opponent had no early pressure or disruption.
Yeah, this is a really interesting hand. Mirren. Okay. I think now I'm happy to use this Qasali Prime Mage on the Aether Vial. The one reason I like it now is that it stops Flicker Wisp from doing shenanigans or just resetting it.
Sure.
The only issue there is that we don't have an answer for the Sword of Light and Shadow outside of Swords in response to Mirren.
I think we're saying, like, you have 3 cards right now, like, let it be. I think we just Swords of Plowshares the Crusader now, take out the Sword of Light and Shadow now, just play around the Flicker Wisp to the best of our ability, and just let them have it if they have it.
Yeah, okay. I like that line as well.
This is not the blowout scenario that we wanted to play for. And, like, it obviously makes our onboard mana worse. But this makes them need to have 2 different cards in order to be good against us. It requires, like, a Recruiter of the Guard plus a Flicker Wisp or a Stoneforge plus a Flicker Wisp or something like that. And our hand is very good. Like, we're going to get Knight or Crusader into... Yeah, shit. Alright. There is the Recruiter plus the Flicker Wisp. But we still might beat that depending on how aggressively our opponent plays. Like, one set of Jitte counters will do wonders. Just getting a Mirroring Crusader.
Interesting.
So opponent might have another piece of equipment in hand for that to make sense. I don't know. Like, Mirroring Crusader doesn't make a lot of sense in the face of Mum.
What if we Green Suns for 2 here for Oof?
I'm fine with that.
Especially if they don't respond to the Green Suns. They might think we're getting like another Qasali.
We have this Jitte of our own, though. That complicates things.
I probably put the power in... I would say Vial is more powerful than Jitte right now.
Alright. Trust your experience in playing this side of the matchup here.
I think because of our creature suite in hand, we just have so many good beaters.
This line is just so scary if they just, like, Flicker with the Recruiter. Alright, they didn't, so that's good. I don't super understand why they didn't just get a Flicker Wisp off the Recruiter. I'm still trying to, like, work through that part.
Yeah, especially their mana base as well. They have mana to still Flicker Wisp without Vial and also hold up Port.
Okay.
There's no neg 1 hate that I'm really scared of. So all this means is, like, I don't think Restoration Angel is played that much.
I think we just
But-
take this block.
Yeah. That's a pretty massive win because Recruiter as a 1/1 isn't that powerful, but as a Flicker Whiff's target is huge. Yeah, outside of like, Cavern into Orzhov Pontiff, I don't really understand that attack.
All right. I kind of feel like opponent has thrown this game. Not intentionally. But I don't understand a lot of the decisions that they've made. Like, I don't know what they're playing towards. Well, is there a world where we just want to play Mirren Crusader here?
Mirren's nice because it trades with Mirren straight away. Can also attack with the Oof, which is nice.
I'll attack into an Haven Mind Sensor.
Not unreasonable. I know Julian's a massive fan of that card in Maverick.
It's a pretty good card when you can play it on turn 2. It's kind of like Thalia Heretic Cathar, where if you can't play it on turn 2, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the amount of decks that go fetch land pass. And you go third mana source pass. But yeah, I think we're in a pretty nice position. I think that if they attack with the Mirren, we're pretty happy just trading Mirren for Mirren and not using Mum.
Oof. Oof, so good.
Oof, indeed. Not even attacking, wow.
Nice. Very nice, in fact.
Yeah, Noble's pretty nice because we can, if we want, race them with the Mirren. And then if they attack back, if we play a Knight here as well, I think we're just beating them for the race. 6 goes to 14. We take 4 and go to 10. And then Knight, of course, is just pretty huge, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a 4/4 base. And it also just like gets us like a Maze of Aether or something like that to muck with whatever our opponent has. Or we can like get a Wasteland, get rid of the Rishadan Port, or just turn it into a land. Like we have so many options with the Knight.
Exalted just being so nice as well because we get to attack for it with a 3/3 Mirren into a 2/2 Mirren, which can't block effectively even with first strike. But yeah, unfortunately, our opponent had a Vile start and then a turn 2 Port, which is fantastic, but they just didn't have the pressure to go with it. We were also pretty lucky that our opponent had Port and then just basics and not Wastelands. If we're not attacking with the Knight here, I don't mind just using this Cradle for... No, actually, no. I was going to get a Horizon Canopy with Knight,
Yeah,
but I
but
think
it's just the same.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Sure.
This puts them to 6, which is pretty awkward because I think this is fine.
Yeah, I think we just let that happen. Like,
Yeah.
we still deal 6, put them to 10, have another Knight.
Yeah, which is 6 again, which is nice.
Like, they've got cards in their hands that they're not playing, so, like, it's very possible that we're just looking at more single target removal spells in their hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you can say no with mom doesn't mean you have to say no with mom. That's a really hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of swords like that where you kind of like jump at them, but then you realize that, oh, actually, I don't need to do this.
I think most of the cards in our deck are pretty good draws at this point. Like a fetch land is pretty insane.
Nice. Well, it's nice to get on the board, especially against Death and Taxes, which, yeah, I think the deck is definitely favored. Having outs in game 1 to equipment through Qasali Primage is really nice, especially for the decks that play black and, playing Engineer and Abrupt Decay.
All right. Since a couple of these matches have been pretty long, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a 2-minute break here, run to the restroom, refill my water, that sort of thing. So if you want to do the same, feel free.
Cool. Awesome. I might just catch up on chat.
Great.
Nice. Cheers. Yeah, so Jerry was going over the major difference between D&T and Maverick and the playstyles and roles. I think that D&T can use its mana a little bit better, especially with the Vial starts. You can use your mana disruption a lot better. Maverick does have the advantage of Wastelands adding to the clock in that it makes things like Another Reliquary better. We can reuse them through cards like Ramanap. Maverick is probably more of the toolbox deck, although the recent printing, recent in quotation marks, of Recruiter of the Guard has made D&T a little more open to being able to, find the answers that you need and not play with the hand that you are dealt. But having Green Sun Zenith is really nice. So if you start on a Noble Hierarch and then your opponent plays a Preordain, you might want to Green Suns for Gadok Teeg or Collector Oof. If your opponent does something like LED Faithless Looting, you might want to go for Scavenging Ooze. You might want to keep it for a big threat. So I definitely think that D&T is a lot better at the disruption element, and Maverick is kind of just power over them with creatures. But yeah, definitely similarities as well with the sort of core of Mum and Thalia to protect your creatures and tax your opponent.
Are you talking about the D&T versus Maverick thing now?
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I think the obvious differences are Vial and Green Sun Zenith, and just how those two play out over Game of Magic.
Someone in chat mentioned Miranda Keith. I've talked a lot of Maverick shop with them in the past, and they've given me a great amount of advice.
Yeah, I love that line. The threat of Mum activation is often better than the actual Mum activation. It sounds pretty good.
I already kept it.
Nice.
Do we go for Forest or Savannah on turn 1?
I think Savannah is fine, especially with the Ramanap.
I agree.
Having the extra fetch, the extra Savannah in hand is nice as well, and it just means we can open up our plays a little bit more.
I also
there are times.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say there are times, especially with Dry Dabber lines, where you go for the basic Forest into Green Suns for Dry Dabber, and then when you untap, you can't cast like Mum and Thalia in the same turn, which can be really awkward. Snow-covered plains pass.
I still think it's Death and Taxes.
Yeah, what if they're looking to Swords in Upkeep?
You don't do that.
No, unless they passed and then like, oh wait, I want to Swords this. That's the only reason I can think of this. Huh.
So, go ahead.
Maybe keep this Misty around for a Tireless Tracker if we draw it, and maybe just go Savannah into Ramanap.
I agree. The Ramanap Excavator is like a much better play on the following turn, where we can also get a land out of it, and like if our opponent has a Swords of Plowshares here, they take out the Ramanap Excavator. But,
yeah, exactly.
Nope, they don't.
By not playing the Wasteland as well, it might, if our opponent had a fetch land, they might go for a. This looks like a blue-white Stoneblade, which is interesting.
I think we're very favored against them as this exact board stands. Oh my gosh, what a draw.
So I feel the line is play Wasteland, tap Wasteland Savannah for Jide. If it resolves, we attack with it and kill the Stoneforge, and if not, we still have the Thalia or Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, I agree. This is gross. Sure.
That is.
I mean, we took out a Jace with that.
Yeah, which is really nice.
And I think we don't want the Batter Skull in play.
Yeah, I think because this deck is most likely on True Names as well, there's not too many cards that Swords is really good against. And obviously here it's great because it stops the turn 3 Batter Skull.
I also think we messed up. I don't think we should have played the Wasteland. I think we should have just taken the Windswept Heath out of the graveyard and just taken our free value.
Apologies, that's my miss as well.
Blue-White Red Stoneblade. What year is it? That's
interesting.
That's surprising. All right, so like this occurs, and then from there it's kind of interesting. If our opponent is playing Bolt, they might have already have bolted the Ramunap.
Yeah, I think they would have. I think we can use Noble to cast the other Noble.
I agree with that. And then I think we take our attack.
Yeah.
And just see if the Ramunap gets removed in response to these triggers. It does not. So I think we end a combat Wasteland the Volcanic Island now.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It stops them from even, say, if they're really trying to keep this for Thalia. Blue. Another force. I think we're more than fine with that.
Yeah. So we have 4 damage a turn clock. We have 2 damage a turn clock. No, we can get a Dryad Arbor with this, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, which changes the clock to 4 turns, which is great. It's also just a card that you don't really want to Swords. Nice.
Oh, all right, so I guess like being good and playing around. No, I guess like the Misty Rainforest is whatever. I should have held that, but like now we're also insulated against a piece of equipment, and we have I should have held the Misty for Tireless Tracker reasons. I was thinking I'll play the Quasi Pride Mage around Days, but I have Noble Hierarch here. Yeah, all right, they're done.
Interesting. Stoneblade's a deck that I haven't played against in a while.
Like this seems good. This seems good. This seems good. Do we do this thing?
I think one of the Planeswalkers would be great.
Probably do that too.
Yeah, even hitting something like, I'm assuming they're going to be playing maybe Little Teferi, Jace, equipment, of course.
All right. So what's your approach to this matchup? So like,
this is an interesting one. I usually cut on Noble Hierarchs because usually they bring in things like Supreme Verdict.
Yep.
Which is pretty nice to trade off for the Carpet of Flowers. The Ramunap I usually take out. I don't think we can really use our graveyard that great against their mana base. And maybe even the Mirrans in this matchup.
Okay. I want to slide those over to the side. So so on the Death and Taxes side, I often board out some or all of my Swords to Plowshares in this matchup.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I might only keep...
Like, are we supposed to cut Teague in this matchup?
Teague's kind of nice because it does stop Verdict and Jace. It does stop our own. It does stop our own Planeswalkers too, of course.
Like my inclination would be like cut the Teague, trim one of those.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going down to 2.
Trim 2 of those.
I think
This is still
The only card that sometimes I like to keep swords in against is Containment Priest, but with Green Suns, it's not as bad as against Vile decks.
So my inclination is to do something like this, but you were thinking about cutting Crusader.
Yeah, I guess yeah, this actually looks really nice. Crusader is just really nice because it can also raise a true name.
And like I had in mind the protection from the germ token.
Oh yeah, that's true. One of those hands. We do have the once, but yeah, I think otherwise we're not doing too much. I'd much rather give a hand with like Noble and just some sort of early plays because the NIS is way off. The track is probably a little bit off. The Oof and Knight kind of do the same thing.
All right, I'll mulligan this hand. But if this was just me streaming, I'm 100% keeping this.
I just don't like the...
This is an amazing hand.
Yeah, this is great. I think we just bottomed the Wasteland.
I do too.
Yeah, because we do have the Knight and the once.
Like they're a 3-color deck, but I think a lot of times they're going to start on Island Plains.
Yeah, and the Red Splash might even just be for some like blasts in the board. It might not actually be for things like Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely between Savannah and Wasteland. I think it's Savannah just because Knight can find Wasteland later on. And they're probably going to be playing out a strategy where they're just reliant on basic lands or fetching for them pretty aggressively.
No, I think just playing Hierarcher Bird is correct over getting the Dryad Arbor out of the deck, right?
Yeah. I don't think any of those cards that we saw there were cards we want to shuffle back just yet, so I think this is fine. I think this obviously means they have a sword, but they're thinking about if they want to swords this or keep it for a threat.
I think those decisions are really hard when you're playing against Maverick. Because like you never know which hand they're on, whether like they have too many dorks and like it doesn't matter, or you're
exactly. I think for double white, we just want to jam the Knight here.
I don't want to play Green Sun into Containment Priest.
Yeah, that's very true as well.
So let's play this. I think a back to basics is going to beat us this game if they have that, so I don't think I'm going to play around it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's kind of expected, honestly. Okay.
I think just land and double Birds and Noble.
I think so as well. Like,
I don't think we really know what we want a Green Suns for yet.
I think we just want to play Questing Beast next turn, hit them for 4, and kill Teferi.
Yeah, so I kind of hope they tap this Caracas.
Yep, that's the plan. I can't make them do it, but boy, it would be sweet.
Well, we can, because we can draw
Rashad
or Wasteland, and then of course just cast Questing Beast, which would be pretty sweet.
Oh, that'd be super sick.
Fetch here always means a 4-drop.
Yeah, here comes like Jace. Oh no, Stoneforge.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What if they tap out for it? No, they don't. Okay. Oh, there's a Wasteland.
Yep.
So now we have Wasteland Swords and Questing Beast at the ready.
Unfortunately, their own Swords to Plowshares can eat our Questing Beast here, but like I think we're 100% going for it. Like it's so strong.
Yeah. Let me just quickly think. What if we go for another Exalted creature off Green Suns and then attack the Teferi in the air?
Swords to Plowshares still stops that, right? They Swords to Plowshares an Exalted creature, and I can only hit for 1 this turn, not killing the Teferi.
Yeah, okay. Beast it is.
We can Swords to Plowshares the Stoneforge now if we want. I guess we have days to think about. All right.
We'll Spell Pierce.
Yeah. We get to play around some stuff here.
Oh.
Hey, I'm glad we played around that.
Hey, very nice.
All right, so for anyone not familiar with the bottom line of text on this card, when it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. So we're going to attack them for 5 and deal 5 to Teferi.
Nice. And then, although they got Jide, do we want to keep the swords around until they maybe equip an attack? I don't think they do into Questing Beast. So we can play around them having counter magic up or soft mission like Spell Pierce. Or we can.
I think we sit on the Swords of Plowshares, and
Yeah,
if they don't
cool.
do anything, we Swords of Plowshares Containment Priest at end of turn.
Nice.
It plays towards worlds where we get an absolutely savage blowout.
Yeah, we also have this Blast Zone, which could tick up to 2 next turn and then untap and maybe even take out all 3 of their permanents. And Jide as well.
All right. Alternatively, we Swords of Plowshares Containment Priest and Green Sun for Collector Oof.
Yeah, I like that. Could also green. Oh, Jide. Oh, okay.
That's interesting now. Get Quasali Pride Mage off Green Sun?
Yeah, I like Kusali a lot. Because then we can also attack with like the bird. I guess we can't because then if they have swords, they go for the Quasali. They don't go for the open removal.
Oh wait, no, I didn't. Even... 1, 2. I felt like I overtapped there. Yeah, X equals 2. Done.
Nice thing here is that if they think we're getting Quasali and like Spell Pierce it, we can just get Collector Oof.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess if we attack, we open ourselves to getting taken off the mana in our turn for Quasali, but I think that's fine because I think we're more than happy just trading the Quasali anyway for the Stoneforge at worst.
I think our role in this matchup is largely the aggro deck that also has like some degree of disruption attached to it. So I think if we're not attacking, there's some scary futures involved.
Yep. So yeah, this is the perfect setup where if they do equip an attack, we can block with Pride Mage, deal combat damage, kill the Stoneforge, and then with the Jide counters on the stack, we can kill the Jide.
It's those scenarios that come up once every, 200 games that are sometimes like defining cards in a match.
Jace is interesting because either way they lose their Stoneforge or their Jace. I guess no, the Cristalli only swings for 4, and we can only swing for 2 in the air.
Our Jitte is super interesting here as well.
Yeah, yeah. Take out the Stoneforge and put the Jace on 1. This is definitely a matchup where I really like main deck Cristalli over main deck Knight of Autumn, just because of the ability to actually use Pride Mage in your opponent's turn, whereas Knight's more a sorcery speed spell.
There's also worlds where we just put the Jitte onto Quasali Pride Mage and attack the Jace, and we force our opponent to chump block with Stoneforge, and then also leave, like, have leftover Jitte counters afterwards.
Yeah, I like that line. We can also use... we can't use Carpet. I was going to say we could use Carpet to actually pump up this Blast Zone if we wanted to, but yeah, I like your line.
Yeah. So this Carpet will be fine next turn, or in our second main phase, depending on how things go. Oh, it's just happening. I'm going to leave the Savannah up, I think, rather than the creatures.
So the... Yeah.
All right. I don't think I play the Carpet here. I think I leave up Quasali Pride Mage in case they have some sort of Wrath effect.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Because although Jitte deals with most creatures, it doesn't deal with True Name, and True Name with Jitte is pretty bad for us. They did keep with the Ponder as well.
Yeah, I feel like we're soft to specifically Supreme Verdict. And otherwise, most 1 cards aren't that scary.
Yeah. The Carpet's kind of nice with Blast Zone because it is a technical out to Jace. Especially with 3 islands in our opponent's mana base.
Oh man, that's great.
Sylvan Library's pretty nice. What are your thoughts on... I'm thinking if there's a line where we actually move the Jitte over to birds and pump it as well to try to make 2 lethal threats.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work out too well because the birds can only become a 4/4 and the Pride Mage is a 2/2.
So we can't present 2 different lethal threats on Jace. We can present 2 attackers on Jace. Which is still probably correct to do. So
yeah, and then we still have...
I think we pump once, move, play Carpet in main phase 1.
Yep. I like that a lot. It means that, like, snap swords doesn't mean snap trades with the Quasali. And this means we can equip, we can play Carpet, and then second main phase we can use the Carpet to play Sylvan Library.
And Sylvan Library from 26 life is pretty disgusting.
Nice. Yeah.
Disenchant on the Jitte. I will grow this creature again.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
Nice.
Show me your source of plowshares. You showed it to me.
Oh, do we use yeah, well, I think we deal with the Jitte here. Nice. which, as nice as that life is for Sylvan Library, being at 26 is
Yeah,
is really
it's not that nice. We can also just use Carpet of Flowers to blast zone away the Jace if need be.
Yeah, which is really nice. I think something like Snap Disenchant is probably what I'm most scared of, but otherwise, Stoneforge itself isn't too bad.
I'd be super happy with the Oblivion Ring as a draw as well.
Yeah, very true. Did we bring in both Planeswalkers? It looks like Snap Disenchant.
That's very strong. Yeah, we brought in both.
Okay. I guess we can attack Jace in the air for 1.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just want to tick up Blast Zone to 2 in like the end step. Doesn't deal with the Batter Skull, but I think that's okay.
So are we taking it up to 2, or are we just like answering the Jace with this Blast Zone? Because we have 4, 5, 6 mana here. We can like actually tick Blast Zone up to 4.
Yeah, okay. I like that a lot. Otherwise, we don't have a great answer to Jace right now because most of our threats are sorcery speed. Questing Beast is exiled.
All right, so that's 3 counters. Things can go wrong. You know, I'm gonna click no this time. I don't want the mana. Hey, how many fireballs do we have in this deck? Just curious.
By fireball, do you mean Green Suns?
Oh, so 4. We have 4.
Yeah, we have 4. Oh, we have 3 because of Once Upon a Time.
This is definitely one of the better Jaces that I've seen recently. A lot of times when this card has hit play recently, I've just like killed my opponents despite the fact that they had these. So I'm going to use one of these in my first main phase. I'm going to say no to the second one. Let's try to blow up that Jace, see if opponent gets us with like Brazen Borrower or something dumb. They did not. Okay.
Cool. It's a little bit that could. The Verdant and Carpent are quite nice if we draw into things like Green Suns or Tireless Tracker. We can hopefully start drawing some cards there because, of course, Sylvan Library's in the bin.
So we haven't used our Dryad Arbor, right?
No.
We should probably just play this and represent Chump Block on Snapcaster Mage, though.
Yeah. They definitely have Batter Skull coming down this turn, which is pretty rough.
So this is something that I really hate people doing. Like, if you have Brainstorm, you brainstorm first and plot out everything. Like, yes, you're 99% to put in that Batter Skull, but, like, damn it. But there's worlds where you don't. And you lose out on those worlds by using 2 of your mana prior to brainstorming.
Yeah. It'd be interesting as well is playing this match out with Choke in the place of Carpet of Flowers. Everything.
Do we trade a Dryad Arbor for a Snapcaster Mage here?
I think it's worth it. We still have access to 4 mana and Carpet, of course, so mana's not an issue. It's probably just using our life total a little bit more as a resource, which we are at 23, but this Batter Skull and other attackers are going to add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the fact that we can't super... Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, so the ring's pretty nice for Jace.
And then
unfortunately,
we'll have to, like, Hope our opponent does not draw a Snapcaster Mage for... Or no, they already Snapcastered back the Disenchant, didn't they?
Yeah. I guess maybe like another Teferi could buy them a turn to try to find another answer to the Oblivion Ring, but otherwise it seems okay.
I played around all of the soft disruption. Chad, in case you missed that. We're good to double Spell Pierce and quadruple Daze. The little bird that could. Man, I wish we got that just a couple of cards off that Sylvan library. Just like one set of cards.
Yeah.
Would have been so
nice.
clutch.
I'm going to say, I think it's pretty safe to say we take a draw and then see if we want to concede to preserve time for game 3.
I agree with that.
Especially with our opponent at the luxury of just always having mana up for Batterskull as well. It's going to be pretty hard to deal with. And like Jace bounce on a Knight of the Reliquary is not a great answer.
Yeah. We could soldier on here, but I'm worried that this game might take 5 more minutes to actually end.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Teague is worth it. Maybe Teague is better than one of the Mirror Crusaders.
Sure.
The only downside of Teague is that they are a deck that also has Caracas. But we are a deck that runs, 3 Wastelands, so it's not the be-all, end-all.
I don't know, Serifix. I think opponent brainstorming in that position is totally fine. Like, they have so much mana that every cantrip that they brainstorm into just opens up worlds of possibilities for them. I think it's okay for them to, like, not just Turbo Fate Seal us.
My only consideration for Ramanap is that it can get back Blast Zone, but I don't think...
Yep, this is nice. Fine.
Especially if once can find a Mana Dork.
Yeah, that's the dream with this hand, so that we could just go like Mana Dork into Knight or Crusader, followed by the other one, and then have this as backup.
Mom's not too bad as well.
Yeah, I think we're taking Mom over a land here.
Yeah, and just going for
Mom into Oof into one of the relevant 3-drops, depending on how the game is looking.
Yeah. Our opponent isn't running Snow Basics, are they?
No?
I believe they're just full art.
Oh, no, they are.
Oh, they are. Okay. Well, Mummy, you did your job.
I think we placed Savannah here.
Yeah, nice.
This is not how we want to use Collector Oof. Like, we want our opponent to invest mana into, like, Stoneforge fetching Jitte first before we do this. But, like, for curve reasons, it just makes sense to play this out here. So now if they play a Stoneforge on the next turn, they know to get Batterskull instead. Nope, just still going for Jitte. All right.
That's interesting.
I mean, it just means they have a piece of spot removal.
Yep. Which...
I think we're putting Knight into play here.
I think Knight's just a little bit better because of how it can untap and do a lot more than Mirren.
Yeah. And then we just play Mirren the following turn.
Exactly, which is a great blocker for both an X2 and also a black germ creature. I think the plan is Horizon Canopy, hold it up and then use the other lands to tap out for Mirren, and then just hold up a land to sack for Canopy in their end step to try to cycle it.
Sure, and then I asked this before. We do a Maze of Ith, right? Or do we not?
We don't have Maze of Ith.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
The other plan is not a great one. Is Wasteland, and then we can get Dried Arbor if we need to block a Dried Arbor, Wasteland it, which is not something that I want to do. So I think it is going to be Mirren into hold up Canopy.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Hey, Connor, welcome. I think we both assumed that our opponent has at least one swords, so having two great blockers is really nice.
Yeah. Hey, Connor, hang in there. Don't let all the good blue cards get you down. Okay, they already had the Batter Skull, which kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
Buy stocks in Basalt Monolith, though. Just saying.
Oh, with that new card that has the activated abilities that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, they gave us 2 cards in one set that infinite combo with Basalt Monolith, which is kind of hilarious to me.
So at least this turn they can't have both Play Jade, equip, and also have removal.
Yeah, like the oof is preventing the Jete equip lines, and then we have 2 separate, very strong blockers.
Yeah. So I think end step we just sack for a fetch land and get a basic.
I agree.
We could also, the other line is going for if they don't have another white source, going for Rishon Import to keep it off the table. The only double white spell that we care about is The only double white spell that we care about at sorcery speed is Council's Judgment, and then at 1 is probably just Teferi. It'll be interesting to see if our opponent plays a fourth land here or not. Because if they don't, then I'm probably more inclined to go for Port.
Port's also pretty good if they have to get a non-basic for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. So Port's kind of nice because it may also turned on this Wasteland in hand.
Oh, I'm a longtime Maverick fan. Like I've played this deck off and on for years. More off than on, but every couple of months I'll get a Maverick kick and play a lot of it. Oh yeah. All right.
Jace is fine. I wonder if they're going to bounce something here. Bounce Knight.
So we can Mirror Crusader attack their Jace, force a
they have to block with
Stoneforge.
Yeah, so I do like getting Rishon Import here, because then with the Wasteland we can take them off 2 mana in their upkeep, which takes them off being able to play Jade and also equip it, which they can't with the Collector Oof anyway, but they can if they then use their Jace to bounce Collector Oof.
So now
Swords to Plashes is also a nice draw.
Now we don't want to draw with Horizon Canopy, right? Because we want 5 mana to play Knight and then Rashad and Port afterwards.
Unless we want to go for Wasteland and Port.
Oh yeah. Regardless, I think we need this mana source at some point in this game.
Okay, yeah. I guess it also opens up drawing into a 2-drop, so we can still Wasteland Port and cast that. It probably is too aggressive to try to get the extra draw into those 2 swords in the deck to try to deal with the Stoneforge to allow the Mirren to kill the Jace. Do you think there's any red cards we should worry about?
No.
No. Cool.
So we have to be worried about Jace, Bounce, Oof, and then them getting Jete counters.
Hmm.
So how do we prevent that? It's by wastelanding, right?
Yes. I feel like we're definitely attacking with the Mirren.
I agree. Let's do that. Okay. Yeah.
This takes out the Stoneforge. Now maybe the play is Knight and Port.
I think let's cast Knight off these 3 lands and see if it resolves.
Yep,
And then
nice.
we can make a decision for Port versus Wasteland.
Cool.
Once we have that additional information.
Okay. I guess we can't play around Swords to Plowshares, and we can't play around Snap Swords to Plowshares. So I do like Port here over Wasteland because it gives us the extra mana next turn, and it also takes them off something like Teferi unless they have the land for it.
Okay.
So yeah, the upside of Port is that it takes them off Council's Judgment or Teferi. Or just another Stoneforge Mystic.
There's worlds where we're not supposed to tap this Plains here to play around Swords to Plowshares into land plus Jete equip and Jace Bounce. But that's like the absolute worst case scenario, and it's like so bad that I probably shouldn't even play around it.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough. I think we played the Wasteland there over the Caracas because we already have a target for it. So I think my opponent is also wary that this Wasteland is most likely dealing with the Volk. I guess we could conceal the Wasteland if we wanted to our opponent to maybe fetch for a Tundra.
Yeah, but playing the Wasteland leads to the world where we can potentially double Wasteland in the next turn cycle.
Yeah, exactly. And this is actually quite nice because we get to Wasteland their Tundra and then port the Plains if needed. But Snap Swords is going to be pretty good.
These non-black, non-green creatures have been a nuisance.
So we can use a Savannah to cycle the Horizon Canopy. I guess it's the case of what do we want to draw into?
I don't know, but I don't think we have the time to think about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not that. Definitely not that.
So I don't mind, yeah, Caracas into Mirren and then Wasteland the second White Source in Tundra. This list has 3 wastes and Port in the 4th slot. I just wanted to try out Port because of the amount of decks online playing basics where Wasteland isn't too great. Judgment.
So it seems to me like opponent has brainstormed away Jite at this point.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Jason Batterskull are pretty nice together. Okay, Green Suns allows us to deal with the Batterskull with Collector Oof. Okay, so one thing we could do is Green Suns for Qasali Primage, attack with Exalted.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, attack with Exalted, and then before blockers, kill the Batterskull. So the Collector Roof is at least a 3/3.
Okay, sounds good. And we also get to play Dryad Arbor with that line. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, yeah.
Closer.
Yeah, we're still gonna need another pretty good top deck.
Yeah.
And like Jay still gets one more card before it's on the way out. But at least like we have 2 bodies on the board against a Jace at 1.
Hey, at least when we're playing against Oko. That's all. That's all I want.
Oh yeah, if this was Oko, we'd probably be dead.
Yep.
We would have just gotten elked into oblivion. Like Elk the Collector, oof. They have a giant Batterskull. They put it on one of their elks. Interesting. They either redrew that, or I was wrong about them not having it in the first place.
Once is a nice start.
I think I'm gonna keep my colored mana open here. Yeah. All right. Under 5 minutes. I'm not gonna super think through every line because if a hit, oh god. All right. All right. We are going to lose to Snap Swords to Plowshares. If they have it, they have it.
Yeah.
Do they have? No, they don't have Swords to Plowshares. But we pretty much have to attack this Jace with both.
Yeah. At least if they trade a creature with Oof, it's probably a snap or. Interesting. Okay.
All right.
Well,
I was not expecting Spell Snare. I was expecting that Once Upon a Time to resolve. What's your name? Another Jace? What do you got? Another Jace. So Jace needs a Fate Seal to stay alive. Nope, Jace is going to Brainstorm. Green Sun or Questing Beast would be cool. Do we already use Questing Beast? No.
Ponder. Okay. So at least after draw step, if we don't draw into something good, we can tap down their planes to try to cut off a Snapcaster or a Containment Priest. Nice.
Oh wow, did we just kill this Jace because they got greedy and brainstormed instead of Fate Sealing?
Interesting.
Oh my god. We didn't deserve that.
Nice. I guess because of the clock as well, we might as well 6 these turns during our opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm going to hold any remaining lands we draw for Tireless Tracker reasons. If we can Green Sun
Nice.
for a Tireless Tracker, it's worth so many cards.
I think just tap down Caracas in case we draw into Questing Beast to try to get that clock going.
I agree.
Blast Zone.
So like opponent still has 4 cards here.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is just counter magic.
It's got to be a decent amount, right?
Maybe something like Disenchant as well.
What am I ticking at this Blast Zone up to? Just tick it up once?
Yeah, I don't mind once here. And then maybe 3 if they drop a true name. A true race against the clock. Tiles Tracker, perfect.
Pre-combat?
Yeah, let's attack first.
Okay.
To see if they maybe tap out from like a hardcast Force of Will or do something with their mana. All right.
No world where this resolves. No world.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sadly,
fine.
even the nice. Verdict.
Okay. I mean, that's annoying, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yep. Hmm.
I don't even think that's a card anymore. I think we have one forest fetchable left.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, deck. Stoneforge. That's perfect because now this blast zone is.
Yeah, they probably don't have
Pretty good.
another. Yeah, they don't have another piece of equipment. Yeah,
This is
sure.
fine.
I think I just crack the blast zone and take my 2 for 1 here.
Yes. Carpet. I guess, Nis is a pretty good draw as well, especially for the clock. Carpet is definitely something that adds up with the timer, a little bit like Tabernacle.
It's still just worth resolving. Like, the amount of mana that it generates is stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say always yes to that, always yield to that. Slightly suboptimal, but will save me time.
Yeah.
I can always stop yielding to it if I need the mana second main phase for some reason.
Just cannot find a threat. That was Matt Soul with the 3 Sylvan Library build, which was pretty sweet. All right, it's got to be Questing Beast, surely.
They do have that Caracas, though.
They do.
I'm going to cast it for X equals 4 and let them figure it out. Is it still just Questing Beast, though?
I think so. I think just because Knight also just pretty much dies to this Snapcaster Mage, we can at least get in for 4 here, hopefully.
I mean, we can
And then tap
spend
down there.
4 mana every turn to do this. And, like, the Questing Beast can't really die because we have our own Caracas.
Yeah, which is nice.
I don't redeploy that, right?
No, I think we just tap down Krakus in
Yeah.
that turn. Yeah, it also means if they have another swords, they can swords it in response. Ooh, Nissa. Okay. I think that Questing Beast is going to be the ploy. We probably want Questing Beast to get countered more than
Oh,
Nissa.
I see.
The bait, sorry, yeah. But if they didn't have Force last turn, maybe they don't have Force this turn. Snap.
Snapcaster Force 1. Alright, yeah, I should have cast the Questing Beast first.
All good. So they have a 3-turn clock. We have a 3-turn clock.
I'm also going to F6. It'll let them Source of Flasher as the Questing Beast, but I don't think I can win if I keep taking seconds off my clock.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's okay. They have to Caracas here as well to get the Snapcasters in. We go to 8. Beast, they go to 6. Could draw into another threat. I think a minute 14 is more than fine. Oh, they're going to attack into it. Wow, they didn't attack?
I think they're going to try to win by timeout.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, Wasteland's actually pretty nice. Click. That's going to be fine.
No, it's not. They're going to click the Questing Beast away after bouncing it with Caracas.
If they bounce.
Oh, no. Okay, they missed that line.
Interesting.
They bounce it. I replay it. I crash in. No, I shouldn't do it that way. I should do it this way. I guess it doesn't matter because I'm like jamming F2. They have a Force of Will here though. I'm dead to double attack.
Nice. So the Krakus answers the click as well in the air. Maybe we should actually Krakus the click here. Doesn't matter. All good. Priest is okay.
All right, yeah, and I've got a F6 here. I F6'd. Or you could bounce the Questing Beast, hit for 6, and kill me.
Jace bounce is death.
Whereas this, I potentially hit you for 4 and then kill your Jace as well. I don't know. They know what's left in their deck and I don't, so.
To be fair, they're also coming up on a minute.
Yeah, we have gotten so much time back.
Snap is fine.
So they target Swords of Plowshares, cast it, targeting Questing Beast. I bounce it, I attack again.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's coming down to the wire as well because we're both nearly on 30 seconds. All right. Thalia resolves. We probably don't care about ports. We can just use that as mana. Beast. Nice. Steals a Jace as well. 6. Judgment's fine. Can't do anything. No attacks from them. Interesting. Just pass, yeah. Try to keep that timer down. Ooh. Now it's just a passing game, which is pretty unfortunate. The carpet they're really adding.
Yeah, we're losing with a couple more seconds than they are. All right, GG's.
Rough. Classic. That was a slug.
Womp womp.
Yeah, pretty rough, especially when the timer comes into it.
I mean, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I lose games due to timeout while streaming. It, like, never happens when I actually play Magic by myself. And under a more normal draw, I don't think it would have happened in that game either, but we both kind of had stone cold nothing for 6+ turns.
Yeah.
And there was a weird Karaka stance going on.
Nuts.
We've taken a lot of pretty rough mulligans tonight.
Yeah, the starts have been pretty poor on average. I think Maverick is probably known for its consistency, especially green-white. That's one of the biggest draws to the deck.
Yeah, and we just haven't seen it. Like, we've had very few of the, like, 1-drop, 3-drop, sort of, like, curve out nicely hands. And we haven't seen... Well, we've seen Once Upon a Time really make a couple of hands, but I don't know. We have mulliganed quite a bit.
Up against Brian Cook.
All right.
Okay.
Last round will be
Most
quick.
likely against Tez.
Wow.
Hello, Brian.
Why? The Eternal Glory podcast battle. And we have Thalia in our opener hand. Get
Once Upon a Time's also nice.
wrecked, noob.
Oh, Brian's mulligan to 6. We will keep the 7.
Ooh, he came back at us with your mom.
Oh,
He's
they
good.
mulligan to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, for anyone not familiar, Brian Cook and I do a podcast together. We have great mutual respect for each other.
Folk Ponder. Okay. Now, what are your thoughts here? Are your thoughts get to Thalia ASAP? Is there any reason for you to Wasteland here, seeing that they've gone down to...
We get to take our draw for turn before making that decision. So, like, what possible lines beat us from this number of cards? LED Echo of Eons, essentially, does it?
Yep, that's correct. Also something like Rituals into Adnors.
I think I like casting the Once Upon a Time and then making the decision after that.
Yeah, especially if we find a Mana Dork. Going turn 1 Mana Dork into turn 2 Thalia Wasteland is also very nice.
Let's take Teague here, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine with Savannah Pass, I think, because, like, we have redundancy to Thoughtseize next turn.
Yeah, okay.
And just make them have it.
Perfect. Do you then like Galactic over Thalia or Thalia over Galactic? This feels like an defense grid.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Deal. We have received the frowny face. My Mold 5 was bad. Yep.
So Teague doesn't shut off Burning Wish, but I think Teague is just better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take Teague as the first play. Thalia is the follow-up play because Teague will stop any sort of, like, Burning Wish massacre shenanigans that get them out of this scenario.
Yeah. Maybe Gut Shot?
Burning Wish
Grape
for
Shot, sorry,
Grape Shot.
Okay.
Can we just
now we can
beat through that with Thalia? Just wasteland one of their lands, play Thalia.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter which land either.
Yeah. I'm going to take the one that cantrips later in the game.
Cool.
So now we just play a wasteland machine, right? Like, there's some world where we want to Once Upon a Time, but...
I think it's Night that's better than Mirren, just because of Wasteland, and it also provides enough of a clock to just maybe turn this into 2 turns instead of 3. Yeah. Brian Mulligan game 1 is pretty bad. I think Tez has a pretty nice advantage against us in game 1?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're super happy here. Oof is insane. Deafening Silence is good. Night of Autumn is probably good enough, and like Tormod's Crypt Fairy are questionable cards that we may play to play around Echo of Eon's lines, depending on how many bad cards we have.
Yeah, I assume like Blast Zone and the 4 Swords is what we can take out if we're going to drop a land.
I don't know. Blast Zone has utility against Wishclaw Totem.
Oh yeah,
Like,
okay.
I want to start by cutting my spells because I think a lot of these spells suck, and then go from there. Like, I don't think Jitte is good in this matchup, especially when we're boarding an Oof and like very consistently going to want to get it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this would give us at least one piece of graveyard hate.
Is Ramanap just a little bit too slow for this matchup?
Ramunap's not great. Like, Ramunap's not great. Mirran Crusader's not great. Questing Beast is not great, but it has haste.
Yeah, there's a world where Beast might be able to beat some sort of small empty.
So I think we board out one of Ramunap or Mirran Crusader and play these to stop Echo lines. I don't know if we're supposed to play Crypt alongside Oof. Which one of these do you think is worse? Ramunap?
Probably Ramanap. Mirran's just a little bit faster. Yeah, sadly, Fairy Macabre does not stop the Echo of Eons. Double Silence is nice. We'll keep this.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Bryant has mulliganed once.
Yeah, Deafening Silence has been a great printing for Maverick. Just as a real nice turn 1 play against combo. A pedal start is always pretty interesting though from our opponent. Especially Brainstorm, that's kind of rough.
Actually, I guess a good portion of the time we don't actually get to disrupt the graveyard via Fairy.
Adnors. What is Echo? Talisman.
So Talisman
I assume just Echo here. Is there any line where you want to once here to try to Fairy Macabre out any of these rituals?
No, they didn't. They didn't go for blue here.
Okay.
So we're not getting echoed. We're going to get Asnosed instead.
Okay.
And Adnos from full life should result in a kill.
Oh, hitting those. Wow. Yeah, okay. So they've already played a land for turn. They need to find a...
He can take a non-deterministic echo line here.
Yep.
But like, it's not a good echo line. Like, it's an echo line where he's at 2 and gets no initial mana here. Yeah. So we could theoretically Once Upon a Time, but I don't think that's good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, wow.
All right. So we still haven't cast a spell. We can cast this Once Upon a Time, which is nice.
Yeah, it's just going to find us a land. I do think we need the land.
Yeah. Probably Port.
Probably Port. Like,
so we can...
as nice as the Thalia is.
Nice.
So we just play Noble Hierarch, right? It's just a 2-turn clock, and it makes it so they can't crack the Verdant. and survive a no wire hit.
I like that a lot. It also means Green Suns is just lethal as well.
I don't think I want to invite worlds where we die to using the Wishclaw Talisman either.
I assume this is going to be an abrupt decay.
Okay. We can die here. Someone is dead in the next turn cycle, that's for sure.
Is the best Fairy Macabre against Tez just taking out Rider Flame in response to a Rider Flame, other than lines with Past in Flames?
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have brought this in. Like, I was thinking about Echo, but that's not really going to work out. I respect that. I respect that so much.
LE? Ah! Classic. Interesting. Some interesting games.
All right, we have received some pity play points for our troubles here tonight, but we definitely, I think we're on the wrong end of variance tonight. I think we had
and that's
one too many moles to 5, one too many clunky hands where you had like Carpet of Flowers, Plains, Wasteland, that sort of start.
Yes, but that is that's just part of playing, unfortunately. But yeah, I think otherwise the deck did pretty well. There were some parts of the games, like against the blue-white Stoneblade deck, where, as you said, neither of us really just drew into anything, which can be pretty tough. But I think against the decks that we lost against, being blue, red Delver, and Rug Delver, and of course blue-white Stoneblade, Maverick definitely has the tools to take down those matchups. Knight usually being the number one threat, but yeah, obviously just didn't come together tonight.
Yep, and that's kind of how it is. Like, I still have a positive impression of the deck, despite the fact that, like, we had a lot of shortcomings and a lot of awkwardness tonight.
Yeah, but yeah, Once Upon a Time seems really nice. I have been pretty impressed with it in green-white. I haven't tried it out in the other variants, just because usually those slots are filled with the spells of those colors. But it can help make your hands a little bit better. And of course, allowing you to dig for some pretty important silver bullets is always nice as well.
Yeah, I feel like the deck list was fine. You shipped me a couple of different deck lists, and I settled on this one to play. Kind of as we alluded to at the beginning, there's not like one stock build of Maverick right now. Like, there's a lot of agency you have in how many colors you play, whether you're splashing, whether you're playing Once Upon a Time. You know, I don't necessarily know what the correct Maverick build is, but I definitely feel like it's a viable deck, and we've seen it putting up plenty of results in leagues, challenges, and things of that nature.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the big parts of Maverick is that no two lists are usually the same, which is very cool. So whenever you meet a different player, you can usually talk about your deck list and why they play cards over certain other cards and how they might attack matchups a little bit differently to you with different cards. Like Port tonight was, I think, a lot better than the 4th Wasteland against the decks we played, but I'm definitely not sold on it. But it's definitely nice to have a deck where you can, try out a Port instead of the 4th Wasteland if you think that there's a lot of basics around instead of non-basic lands.
Yeah. I kind of miss Mazabeth. Like, I understand why it's not here. But that's kind of always been a card that I've loved whenever I've played this archetype.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Mazabeth is a really powerful card, especially in this deck with tricks with Another Reliquary. But also against, Delver, we only have really 4 answers in Swords, so it can buy a lot of time. And it's obviously just a great card to get off Knight against some of these big matchups. The one reason I don't like Maze is that there's a few creatures like Dreadhorde Arcanist that it just doesn't really do anything against.
And it's also kind of medium against a stream of Elks.
Yeah, exactly. And like if Uro swings, I guess I'm saving 6, but yeah, I think Maze is definitely a card you could play in Maverick. It's obviously the right shell for that type of card. You do have to count it as a spell, not a land, because it doesn't produce mana. But yeah, I guess it might be something that I try out in the next coming leagues with Maverick.
I have too many windows. There we are. There you are. All right. So where can people find you if they want to see more of your content?
Cool. So I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dougesontwitch. Also on YouTube at YouTube/Dougesontwitch. I put all my streams on there and also just recorded leagues that I just record each game and then upload them as a playlist. And then also at the Green Sun Zenith, which is a website dedicated to Legacy Maverick. You can usually find new content on there at least once a month. I try to get 3 articles a month going. One being the Maverick Monthly, which is just a recap of the past month. Yeah, Dougs on Twitch is DOUGSONTWICTCH. And then just on Twitter, of course, at Twitter/Dougs on Twitch. But yeah, a huge thank you for having me on, Phil. This is very cool.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to do this sort of thing for quite a while, and the people love the guest streams and the cooperative content. Any closing words you'd like to say here?
No, I think if anyone's wanting to try out Maverick, green white is a great start, and then you can kind of build towards what sort of build you want. So if locally, if red's where you want to go against some of the fairer decks, if black's where you want to go for things like Abrupt Decay and Plague Engineer, the deck is very flexible. Green Suns and Knight make it a really good deck to tune because you can find out if Gaddock Teague might not be a great card to play, so you can play that in your board or not even in the 75 and play a different sort of spell in the main deck.
Yeah, it's a different deck, obviously, but like a lot of times in the past, you've seen Teague as a mainstay in 4-color Loam, and that card has just been slipping further and further out of those deck lists as well.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of sad. It's obviously been a pretty great combo breaker for a long time, but as of recently, a lot of the even best planeswalkers have moved from sort of the 4 CMC power to 3 CMC and Oko into Teferi. And Jace hasn't seen as much play as usual. And then, yeah, it's just becoming a lot more easier to interact with.
Hey, but who knows? We're gonna take the can that is Legacy, and we're gonna shake it up real hard with another new set and some commander cards, and we'll see what happens. What is a commander? How does it work? What's a mutate? We're gonna have some very interesting times ahead of us, and we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Are there any cards that stick out to you for Legacy that you want to try out probably more in a brewer's sense, kind of power level?
Yes. I don't remember the name of it, but there is a card that's going to play very well in Chalice of the Void Shells. It's the pseudo True Name Nemesis that's white. It's a white and 2 colorless, and you name, I think, even or odd when it enters play, and it has protection from either even or odd. Something approximating that. And I think that card is going to be really cool in a white Chalice of the Void shell.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Is it a soldier?
It is a soldier. I believe it's a human soldier.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
that's cool.
Maybe I'll revisit Soldier Stompy. Not 100% sure. That's the fun, janky card that I want to experiment with. Not, one of the obviously broken cards, because, holy crap, we have those. Luris being the best one, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, some of them do look pretty sweet. To Reaple Cheap in chat, I think the Abzan Triland would be interesting because it is a forest and a plains, which means it can be returned with Scrib Ranger, and also it can be stacked to Knight. And then having a land that obviously produces any color within your deck is pretty cool. So I think people will try it out. I think Maverick's a deck that could probably make use of a land like that, but the coming into tapped is always a pretty big piece of relevancy.
I think a good rule of thumb for those is that if a deck is already playing a tapped land or two, shoving one of those into the deck list in place of one of those other tapped lands is probably fine. So, Maverick often plays Bojuka Bog, 4-color Loam, often plays 2 or 3 enters tapped lands. Decks like that will probably adore this card.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks interesting. It'll be cool to see what decks come out in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut discussion of the new cards off there because, I got a podcast to record on Tuesday, and that's probably what we're going to spend most of the time talking about.
That's more than fine. A nice little insight into what's to come.
All right, thank you so much for joining me tonight, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you're here from his channel, please follow, subscribe if you are enjoying legacy content. Now I'm going to turn you over to my good friend Anurag for some more legacy content, perhaps some sort of Snoko build. I'm not sure what he's playing tonight. Cheers and have a great night, folks.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Phil. That was awesome.